On this episode of Hit the Books Podcast, we're talking James Gunn breakdown of the DCU. Stay tuned! Hello and welcome to another episode of Hit the Books Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Holcomb.
My name is Nick. I don't know if I'm a co-host or a friend of the show yet, but
Nick
I guess
2.
Oh yeah, I'm the second one.
Not to be confused with Nick Marlat, who is a co-host of the show. Nick has come on as a guest to help us get an episode out, have a good time. Unfortunately, both Emery and Nick Marlat are out this week, so hopefully we see them on the next episode of Hit the Books Podcast, but they will be out for today. As always, you can find us on YouTube, on Stitcher, on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever they call it now, Podbean, etc., etc., etc. So be sure to look out for us, give us a good review, and like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It really helps us out. We need to get to certain thresholds, to get to certain views, to get to certain incentives, and all other sorts of great things that can help us make the show better. So if you can support us, we would really love that. And of course, you can always check out our website, HitTheBooksVids.com, where you can find links to all of these things and easy, convenient places to find our social medias, our contacts, all that stuff. You can always reach out to us at HitTheBooksVids@gmail.com. That's VIDS. You can reach out to us on Twitter at HTBVids, and you can find us on Facebook.com/HitTheBooks. All right, that wraps up all our promotional stuff. Do you have anything you would like to shout out, give a promotion to? Perhaps say hi to somebody?
Hi, Internet, I guess. No, I don't have anything to promote yet. I haven't been that creative or productive.
But you do have some projects going on.
I do.
There may or may not be a band that you and Emery are currently in.
Yeah.
In the works?
It's in the works. Interestingly enough, it's been... So this band is about a year old now, because the whole conception of this has been going on since about January of last year. And... yeah, it started as a conversation at a Christmas party, I guess December, and it turned into practicing at my house, because that's what happens when you have a bunch of music equipment. You just want to invite people over, and then
yeah, definitely,
you get creative energy in the air. People start
right behind the camera.
Yeah. It's but it's going good. We have, I guess, if for anyone who is interested, the band is called Guilty Victims. So you heard it here first. I don't think I've said anything about it anywhere, and no one else has. So
breaking scoop, hot off the press.
And we are at the stage where we actually have some songs that are ready to be demoed. So that should give, if that gives you a timeline level of 6 to 12 months, we might actually have an album ready. World tour is coming in 5 years. Whatever Wacken needs Wacken. Germany needs a headliner with, throwbacks to 80s and 90s grunge and metal, in that order. But no, it's been going really well. I play guitar. Emery sings. We lost our drummer because he found a better job.
That's very Stonehenge of you. Every time Spinal Tap gets on stage, you're just losing another drummer.
I don't know if he combusted or not. We weren't there for that. It wasn't that exciting.
Yeah. Got crushed by the prop.
By something. He's
Eaten
on the
by
West
tigers.
Coast now, so.
Oh, wow.
Do they got tigers on the West Coast?
They got something on the West Coast.
Something's eating people on the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. We knew Nick Marlat wasn't going to make it today, but we had a emergency situation, it seems, with Emery. So I'm very thankful you came as a guest on the show. So I'm not talking to myself and to our audience.
Thank you for having me.
So we always start off the show with a little bit of talk about what we've been up to, and then we get into the news, and of course, give out our famous cover of the week at the end of the show. So, what have you been up to, Nick? Reading, watching, listening to?
Well, let's see. I guess I'll go like last month. So I guess a little bit about me, since it's the first time. I really big into games, mostly like JRPGs, survival horror, pretty much anything that's good, I guess, whatever that means to you. Big movie person, especially like 80s and 90s stuff.
Yeah, I love your Evil Dead 2 shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
As I had a Resident Evil shirt, which was kind of the same thing with the turn zombie, but then I was like, this is
it's pretty dope. I like it.
Which is, by the way, that's an interesting little trivia, that the cover of Resident Evil with the zombie turning is actually an Evil Dead reference. So,
have you ever seen the Tales from the Crypt movies?
No, I know of them. I haven't seen them.
There's the TV show that everybody knows, but most people don't know, unless you've watched our comic movie Master List series, that there's some old ones from the 70s. And I suspect that they are very much what kind of drove the inspiration for the Evil Dead movies. So,
knowing of them and not having seen them, though, I definitely could see that. I'm sure Sam Raimi was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're based on comic book series, right? So there's a little bit of corniness and hokiness to it, but like the first one in particular is actually like pretty good and holds up really well. It's basically just a collection of like short stories, and it's all connected through like the intro where they're basically in this, seems like a graveyard or something, a crypt. They're not really sure. They don't know how they got there or why they're there, but then they each start like recalling a story of what happened to them, and then it goes into like a horror short story for each individual character. It's really cool. They tried to replicate it with the second one, which we also did on Comic Movie Master List, so definitely check out that playlist if you're on our YouTube channel. But that one was a little rough. Did not hold up as well as the first one did. That one was definitely more corny and hokey and poorly acted. But the first one, and they're British films, so that just adds another element of kind of unique aspect to it that you wouldn't necessarily predict from an early comic book movie. So definitely give those a check if you're into Evil Dead.
Okay, that's homework for everybody, including yours truly. Cool. No, I've been I guess the two main games I've been playing are Persona 5. I love the Persona series. If you're a fan, I guess leave a comment and say what you like about the Persona series. I think have you played Persona at all?
I've played Persona 3.
That's my favorite. Just because of the aesthetic. I know it's a little janky for
it's been a long. I played it when it first came out, and I haven't touched a Persona game since. But I enjoyed it. I really did. I was a little. I think the one thing that caught me is a little tedious because I can't remember what year it came out. 2003, 4, 5. It was at a weird time where like I was moving across the country to New York, and like I was, I didn't have a lot of time. We're just like figuring stuff out, and I just moved from like rural Ohio to in the middle of Brooklyn, New York, like a huge culture shock, and was like adapting to everything. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. I found the time system a little tedious because like one thing I can't stand in video games, and it's not like I don't enjoy the mechanic, it's that like I personally like get frustrated with myself is if I miss out on stuff. Like I have real significant FOMO, and I'm kind of Emery and I have talked about it a lot. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and it makes me take forever to finish games because I want to like see and do everything before I put it away, because I'm probably never going to touch it again once I finish it. So, like, I'll have the boss battle just waiting for me. I'll have everything done, but I'm still going through all the collections, all the side missions, just so I can hear every, like, dialogue choice and get every interaction. And Persona's like that. Like, you can miss a lot of stuff if you don't, like, do things at a certain time period or talk to certain characters in a certain way. And, like, I hate that.
You're not supposed to.
It drives me crazy.
You're not supposed to get everything. It's kind of designed like
I know.
That. You got all those like social links where it's like, oh, I want to max it out with the cute girl and the excited girl and the shy girl and the guy in the graveyard or whatever.
Yep. You're 100% correct. But I can't handle it. It drives me crazy.
I like that because it forces you to really manage like what you're doing. It also like, I think the reason I think they're very comfy games. You think like Fallout 3 or like Skyrim. That's a good game. You can sink hundreds of hours just like sitting back and exploring.
Yeah, no doubt.
Persona's a little bit like that for me, where it's just you have a balance, right, where you're exploring either a palace or a dungeon or whatever, and then the other half is like slice of life, role playing kind. I mean, some people don't consider it role playing because the decisions aren't super big, I guess, but you're still making decisions who you talk to and what you do.
Yeah,
and it's really fun. I think that 5 definitely upgraded and updated some of the mechanics, especially for fighting. You have so many options, like whereas like in 3 you still have the one hit system where if you do a weakness attack, you get one more turn. I think it's called the one turn or one more.
Yeah.
this one, there's guns, there's a baton passer. If you get a one more, you can pass it to a different character. You can switch a lot of stuff on the fly. It's really good. I'm about 15 to 20 hours in, and really enjoying it.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert for Babby's first D&D, as Emery and Nick Marlat like to call it.
Keep listening.
We've started Babby's first D&D. I did OBS the first session. It's a little rough because it's literally just like me and Emery with our face up, and everybody else has like a picture of like a lizard or whatever else. You have like a anime character or whatever, and then like everything is.
They mustn't know.
Yeah, everything's real rough because not only am I a beginner, but there's another beginner in the crew. Granted, she's been doing it a few more times than me, right?
One more time than you.
Okay, so she had one game advantage on me,
which was at session 0. So
yeah, and I could not figure out the application, the D&D Beyond stuff. Well, Emery was trying to explain it to me over webcam, and then the second session we did was live, which was fun. But then we had to again learn how to do it like manually because we weren't using the D&D browser to like stage everything. So like then I had to relearn, and like we were like we spent like an hour trying to find the spell cards with the description. Oh yeah, so we knew what we could or couldn't do.
We had like the most interesting thing where we had an online D&D session, which was like a bunch of like hardware and software that was like I had never used before. Emery's just kind of a master of that stuff, I think, because they use it for he does like a live show with people, but they use that.
Yep, him and Nick Marlat both. They our other co-hosts. They do their D&D stream, which used to be on twitch.tv / those natural ones, but I think they've moved to YouTube Live, so I think now they're found on YouTube. I don't know if they're still supporting Twitch or not, but I know if you have a Amazon Prime subscription and you want to support them a little bit financially, you can, and you're not using that Prime subscription, you can go to twitch.tv / those natural ones, go on there, click the subscribe with Prime button. Doesn't cost you a thing if you already have Prime, but it sends them a small amount, like I think they get like $2 or something. To help them run the show and support their stream. So if you want to support them, definitely go look up twitch.tv / those natural ones. And if you type in those natural ones, I think with the number 1 on YouTube, you can also find their YouTube channel. And of course, you can find it on our social medias as well, where we promote it. But
they also do shorts.
Yep, they got a lot of shorts. They do it on Facebook and on YouTube. So definitely check that out and support the crew. But back to your point.
So he's really good at all the software stuff with D&D because he runs a professional show with that. And so our first session, we learned some of it the first time, but it wasn't like a real session. We like tested. I mean, it was a session 0. We tested the mechanics out, made our characters, whatnot. I think actually we had 2 sessions. It might have been before you came in. But long story short, we learned this new software in browser, the D&D Beyond Forge, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
We learned that, which is its own kind of hurdle, right? Because I'm used to Roll20, which is a lot less bells and whistles and a lot simpler. Mm-hmm. But I like this a lot more. It's just you have to actually know how to use it. Then we had our in-person where everybody came to my house and we had a D&D game in person. And that was really fun, but that was also learning. I bought like the magic cards. We're playing 5th edition, and I bought all the cards. We got a bunch of like the different just stat systems and stuff, so like associated with spells or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, and then character sheets. Obviously, it's a lot easier to have it in a digital format than printing it out, writing on it, keeping track of the changes. So,
yep, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, again, it's my first experience, so it's a little, it's tedious. It's just being honest. It's tedious to like learn the systems and what I can or can't do and how much I can test the DM and what I can get away with, I think my interrogations in particular, I was glad that he let that fly.
Very moralistic.
Yeah.
Holistic.
I was using the mend cantrip as a interrogation tool, so I'd break all the fingers until they ran out, and then I'd start mending them and breaking them again.
What was that Sherlock Holmes quote where it's like the most terrifying antagonist or something is a doctor that goes rogue? Because the potential from a healer, curer kind of person to do all sorts of evil shit is pretty terrifying.
But it's been fun. It's been great getting to know you. That's how I met you for the first time, which has been great. and the others, of course. My first character is a death cleric. I was told before I joined that they desperately needed a healing character, and so he gave me a list of healing types and explained it to me, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to be like menacing but not necessarily evil. He was like, well, you could worship the death god. I'm like, all right, sign me up.
Can I?
Yeah. Oh boy. So that's what I've been doing. So I've been doing some shenanigans a little bit, talking to the dead, bringing people back to life.
All in good spirit. All in alignment checks out. So.
Torturing people. I think you would consider me like kind of chaotic good, maybe.
Chaotic good is that unique middle ground. Well, it's like true neutral is also one of those like where it's like you don't know what to expect, right? It's like you're good, but good in
shit's gonna happen.
Yeah. The end result will be positive, but the journey will be
But I will say I don't know if this is normal, but I am probably the most unlucky roller of all time. I think I've had double-digit rolls twice this entire session. One was a 20, but it was on something that was completely useless, like something that wasn't needed hardly at all. So I've gotten lucky one time, and I've gotten like 6s, 7s, 5s, 4s, a lot. So I've been failing a lot. My character is very incompetent, apparently. Just not successful at anything.
Well, I think that's like a running meme almost. It's like, why am I the only one who rolls 2s and 3s and 1s? Because, I mean, the probability, if you actually look at the distribution, like chances are you're not rolling super good, right? Because like you think a 15, 16 is good, that's like less than 0.25% chance. So, but
Emery keeps having us fight chickens, which is another theme we're running into a lot.
We had... I think one of the sessions you weren't there for, we fought goblins, which Emery stated was like, this was supposed to be like a nice little warm up for you. And we had like 6 goblins that they rolled a D8 for damage for how much HP, so they do a total of 8 maximum. I think every single one of them rolled an 8 every time they attacked us.
Because they're on the brink of death in your training session.
I think we had 2
Is that why you needed a healing character?
Yeah.
Because you almost all died?
He had to bring in an NPC, monk, to come in and help us because 2 people were doing death saving throws after like turn 3.
Oh my god.
Because
we Fritz, the warrior character, or no.
He's the thief. Or thief, is he? He's like a scoundrel. He's like kind of like Han Solo, except a little bit more trauma.
Was it him or was it you that almost got killed by the vulture?
Oh, last time? That was me.
Oh, okay. That was you. Okay. Yeah. This fucking vulture attacked us. We all shoot at it. Of course, I miss because I roll a 4. So my contribution was nothing. And then like it crits the first hit and it seemingly like brings you close to death. And I think Emery was being merciful.
It took half my
letting
HP
you live.
out. Almost twice.
Yeah.
I had an attack, not an attack of opportunity. I had like opportunity dice or something where I could sneak an attack before it attacked me. I had to use 2 of my 4 times I could do that just on this one vulture because I would have been dead.
We just left town. Like we've taken like 3 steps out of the town and we've already had one character almost die.
The vultures in this game are fucking badass. We're playing in a desert setting.
Emery's obsessed with birds. I don't know what it is as a DM.
Birds are nice.
I mean, they're fine.
But not when they try to beak your eyes out.
I don't need them flying above me and me trying to shoot them and not able to hit anything.
And then they hit you and it's like, whoa.
Oh, now I'm dead. Great. Woo. But no, it's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed getting to know you guys. Looking forward to it. Honestly, like I didn't think I was going to be looking forward to it as much as I am, but I'm genuinely like excited for Mondays now. I really do enjoy it now. So you got me at least for the short term. Beyond that, what have you been up to? Anything additional?
Yeah. I guess I'll go over games and movies because the other game I've been playing is Resident Evil 2, the original, not the remake. Which the remake's awesome, by the way, but the original
is the remake out already?
Oh yeah, the remake was 2019, so
okay,
it's been a little bit. It's really good. The original is 1998, and I'm playing the GameCube version because it looks a little nicer.
Okay, now I feel like an idiot because now it's all coming back to me. I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember.
Oh no, there's been
all the remakes
2,
coming
they
out.
remade 3.
Remake 4 is what
remaking
I'm thinking
4.
of, which is a remake of a remake because they've already updated it multiple times, right?
Oh well, they've released. There's like Resident Evil 4.
It's like The Last of Us. They keep releasing it.
Honestly, though, because Resident Evil 4 was originally a GameCube game, then it came out on PS2, then on Wii, then on PS3 and 360, then on PS4. There's an iPod Touch game slash iPhone game from like 2008, which I played. There's a VR version of it, which I kind of hate, but a lot of people like, so don't judge me. It's out on everything. Like I think every copy of RE4 you can get up until like the PS4 generation, and it's literally on everything because it's such a good game and it makes a lot of money.
All right, so time out. Can you move your mic down just a little bit, like the actual direction? Just move the head there.
Okay.
Because I think what's happening is it's going above you and it's getting a ton of echo from the wall.
Okay.
From my voice hitting the wall. So
Gotcha.
I haven't soundproofed good enough. All right, back to it.
But no, I've been playing Resident Evil 2, mostly just to show my girlfriend that because she didn't grow up with a lot of those games, and I'm just going through it because we started going through the Resident Evil movies by not the good CGI ones, but the Paul W.S. Anderson ones where it's, hey, look, I have a wife. Isn't she attractive?
I don't understand how those are Resident Evil anything. But they have Resident Evil in name, but
it is literally
it's
fan
very
fiction.
loose. Yeah,
because the character of the Mila Jovovich character, the Alice, is literally probably the level to which it's terrible. I would say a teenager would write themselves into a show as the wise, smart, knows everything better than everyone, has superpowers and everything, while all the other characters are like, "Whoa, you're so cool!" And we watched the second movie, and she doesn't want to watch anymore. And
I don't blame her.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, they're rough. I honestly, if you want something along those lines, the movies I would recommend is the Underworld movies, the trilogy. I love those movies.
I haven't seen them, but
brother, you're missing out. If you're into like vampire stuff, especially like vampire werewolf stuff.
We have the first one on DVD. We were gonna watch it.
They do it. They do the Mila Jovovich. I forget her. How do you pronounce her name? I'm an idiot. Mila Jovovich? Is that how you pronounce it?
She's from Ukraine. It's fine.
All right, Mr. Russia. Yeah, like the Underworld movies do it better. Like way better. Way more.
I'm sure.
Way more coherently. It's the same general principle, like badass hot chick vampire in this case, so she's got superpowers more or less. Doing awesome badass woman things, and then having like an overarching story through the trilogy that's actually pretty cool to think about. It's a lot of like, what if these things were real, and if they were real, what if there was, spoiler alert for the first one, a hybrid, and how do you handle that? What do you do? It's basically Twilight before Twilight, but way more badass and not filled with teenage angst.
Man, Twilight's rough.
It's rough, yeah.
It's one of those...
I read them. I didn't watch the movies, but I read them.
I read the first two.
It's rough.
When I was in like middle school, I thought they were okay. Like,
yeah,
I didn't have super strong opinions, but like, it's one of those like your girlfriend or whatever will like it, and you'll sit there and be like, "We're spending time together," so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say like I didn't enjoy my time with them, but they were pretty mediocre.
And the older you get, the more you're like, this is, there's better. The bottom line is there's better stories out there that are about this whole forbidden romance between creature and Beauty and the Beast, literally almost.
Yeah, so. No doubt. All right, well, have you been up to anything else that you really want to talk about?
That's kind of it. I'm always like playing stuff, watching stuff, but those are the main highlights. Don't watch the Resident Evil movies. Just don't. Even if you look at the box art and you're like, I kind of want to see how this happens. No.
Yeah, don't watch the Netflix series either.
Oh, yeah, don't watch the Netflix series. Don't watch Welcome to Raccoon City. Don't watch Infinite Darkness, which I hate saying that, the new CGI one.
If you want something along those lines, watch the Underworld movies. Watch The Last of Us, the HBO series. Don't don't watch the Resident Evil stuff. It's just not good. Play the games.
Play the games.
Most of the games are good.
Most. Not 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if you want like a brainless action game, Gears of War style, Resident Evil, by all means. All right. I haven't done a whole lot new. We talked about my first D&D stash, so we can jump over that. I'm still finishing Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds DLC. This is the PlayStation exclusive that is now available on PC and stuff because it's older. This is something that's been sitting literally wrapped in plastic on my desk for a long time with all my other PS4 and PS5 games. And just never got around to it. Like, I was really excited for it when it first came out, and I just didn't have the time. And again, I'm always fighting time. I talked to Emery previously about this kind of pilgrimage I'm on, where I'm going back and forcing myself to finish everything that I started, and then like either got end anxiety because I didn't want it to end, and then didn't finish, or like just got so distracted by the side quests and stuff that it just became such a long, big burden that I got like exhausted with it and just stopped playing it. I still got to finish Witcher 3, and I still got to finish Horizon, the Forbidden Wilds DLC. I finished the main game.
You picked like 2 really long open world games to backlog,
and then these are the games I enjoy. So it's both a blessing and a curse in a way. So I just got to work through it. But I finished Horizon Zero Dawn. The main game was way better than I expected it to be good. It blew me away with the world building and stuff. Especially, it's one of those games that really gives you more for what you put into it. So if you spend the time like reading the voice logs, listening to the voice logs, like doing the side quests, getting to know the characters, like they built a really cool, robust world. And in a game about, giant robot dinosaurs, you would think, oh, there's no way you can make this make sense at all. They succeed in a way I never thought possible. Sony's developing a TV series for it, just like The Last of Us. And based on The Last of Us success, it seems like they're doing pretty well at it, and so I'm looking forward to how they adapt it, because it really is, there's a lot of material there. I haven't played the sequel yet, obviously, and I'm still finishing up the DLC. There's a lot of content there. Like, there's a lot of lore you could build on. It's surprising because this game came out a long time ago, but it predicts a lot of stuff that ended up happening in like kind of the story stuff. But of course, in their situation, they're talking like 2050, 2040, 2060, like these things happening. They happened in 2019, 2020, 2021. So in retrospect, it's really awesome to go back and like see what the writers were talking about and see that, some of the shit actually already happened or is currently happening. So highly recommend to anybody who skipped over it, go play Horizon Zero Dawn. It's an awesome game. It's on PC now. It's very cheap. It's probably free if you have a PS Plus membership at the higher tiers. Go play that game. It's worth your time. Frozen Wilds DLC. Usually I don't care too much about DLC, but they proved me wrong. I was kind of being hard on it last episode because I'm like, this isn't really anything that they couldn't have just included in the main game if they wanted to give us, value for our money. But it's actually way bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, I probably put like 15 out. I was scrambling to try to finish it last night just so I could say I finished it. I could not finish it.
Is it like its own section, or is it
more
stuff within the same?
It's its own section of the map. It basically fleshes out one of the more minor tribes that you only get to know a little bit in the main game, called the Banuk tribe. They're basically it's not really a spoiler at this point. Everybody kind of knows that, like, hey, this is in the future of our world, basically the whole setting. I won't elaborate more than that because the actual twist about it is way more fascinating than that concept in general. But they're basically where Yellowstone is, this tribe. So like you're literally going around like a frozen Yellowstone.
That's cool.
Like fighting these giant robot dinosaurs and getting to know like the traditions of these tribes and like managing it. And there's a lot of cool stuff. They really fleshed it out. They put a lot of work into it. It does justify the price of what it was originally, although now you can get it included with the main game for pennies on the dollar. So
how's the open world aspect of that game? Because I've heard mixed things. Because right, you got it was like it came out during the time when Assassin's Creed went from linear, story to open world, and a lot of people got burnt out on that, right? That just like it's just a giant world. It's
Yeah.
the same copy and paste. Kill this, collect this. How is it with regards to
There,
like, variety?
I'm glad you brought this up. There are legitimate wow moments in the open world where like you turn a corner around a mountain, or you like go up a road and go over the hill, and like shit changes real quick, and you're like, holy shit, I was not ready for this. I did not expect this. I don't want to spoil too much because I want everybody that hasn't played the game to go out and get a copy and play the game. Play it on your PS5, play it on your PC, whatever you got to do. If you have a PS4, go play it on PS4. You can probably get it for free if you're smart about it. Go do it. It's worth it. It genuinely is worth it. I don't know if the sequel's worth it, but I hear good things about that too. It really is such a delight to like experience the world, experience the creatures. Again, it's one of those games that the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I do genuinely mean that. It's very much one of those games that rewards you for exploring and trying different things and trying different styles of combat. There's a ton of weapon variety that you can take advantage of. There's a ton of crafting. I like to say it's an RPG without nonsense. Like it's the RPG aspects are there just enough to give you what you want. To empower your character to become more proficient, to have the excitement of growing your character and feeling like you're actually being rewarded for the work you're putting in, but it's not so overwhelming and so customizable that it just becomes tedious. Witcher is kind of like that, where it's just so many things you can craft and fix and maintain and level up and choose and apply your mutagens to and your runes to and all. Like, it's just too much. It's just too tedious at the end of the day. Sometimes you just want to fucking grab the controller and play the game. Like, you don't want to spend an hour in the menus trying to make your guy the most optimized possible. It's not one of those. There are some dated, janky aspects to it that I think every open world adventure game had, especially in the mid 2010s or late 2010s. There's some draw distance things that happen once in a while because it is a giant open world and you have these giant dinosaur creatures, saber-toothed tigers, like super animated things. If you're playing on PS5, you're going to be at an advantage because you have a higher performance. If you're playing on a higher end PC, you're going to have a better experience because you can run it at higher frame rates. But I'm sure the PS4 was fucking cooking. The OG PS4 was cooking playing this game because a lot can happen, and there's a lot of things on screen and a lot of crazy shit going on, and the scale is very big at times. So I'm sure there's probably some stuttering and frame rates and stuff like that. I don't like that there's not a lot of cutscenes. I'm one of the people that still thinks cutscenes are necessary. I don't like when people do that live in rendering thing and the hair is like clipping through your custom outfit while your character's trying to have this like profound conversation with a character.
The Bethesda method where it's like, actually, I have a settlement.
Then there's some random NPC walking in the background and like stuttering and shaking, just goofies. Just make cutscenes, please. If it's something that's supposed to be of emotional weight, just make a cutscene. It's I get it. Just polish it up, make a cutscene.
My face is tired.
Yeah, and then you get that uncanny valley thing when they're trying to be like super emotional with the in-game engine, and it breaks because the mocap wasn't quite where it needed to be.
Or it's like in a cutscene, it would be like, just let them do whatever instead of just standing still.
And there's a lot of things about the game, like it does inclusivity in possibly the best way possible. A lot of things will beat you over the head with it and like just treat you like a dummy. Like, by the way, this is about woman power. This is led by a female protagonist, and we're gung ho about that, and we're gonna remind you every chance we get that this is a great inclusive product and blah 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 blah. Now this game like respects your intelligence and like, hey, we got a variety of racial representation, sexual representation. Your lead character is female. Like, they handle it in such a great, graceful, realistic way that makes sense narratively. And within the context of the world, I can't emphasize enough. They nailed so many things so perfectly. And I have to give credit to Sony Studios. Like, they fucking nail this stuff in their modern games. And I absolutely love it. I love the Frozen Wilds. I'm going to be honest. I've been playing this game for so many months now that I just need it to end so I can move on to the next project.
How long would you say it takes? Over 100 hours, or?
Well, again, it just depends on how much you want to put into it. If you want to race, if you want to race through the main story, you can probably do it in, under 20 hours. But if you want to really like flesh it out and get to know all the side characters and build all those relationships and learn like what really happened, like why we're at this point in time and why the Earth is like this now and why these big metal things are everywhere and why this bandit group exists, why this tribe exists, etc., etc. Like you gotta invest the time, and you can easily get up to 100 hours plus if you really, with the DLC especially, if you were trying to. So it can be, a really long thing, or it can be a really like moderately, acceptable thing, but it's really up to you how much you want out of it. So
are you gonna play the sequel?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna do it right away because I did this with Spider-Man. I still haven't played the Miles Morales expansion for it because I beat the main Spider-Man game, did everything I could, basically platinumed it, and then I was like, I'm just exhausted. Like, I really enjoyed it, but I'm just exhausted with it. Like, I need a break. I need to do something else, and that's when I went to Horizon. So I find I'm more successful if I don't jump right into the sequel right away, and I take a break from it, and then I tackle the sequel, a few games later. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Other than that, I watched the Knives Out sequel on Netflix, the Glass Onion.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I mean, I can see very clearly what they're doing. Like the main character is clearly, like a Elon Musk type.
I haven't seen Glass Onion. I've seen Knives Out. Knives Out is this? Wait, is it the same person who made
Rian Johnson?
It's Rian Johnson. Okay,
he's the director.
Okay,
if that's what you're asking.
For some reason, I thought it was someone else.
He did the worst Star Wars movie of all time.
Yeah. It's funny because at work, everyone really likes Star Wars, and nobody, I think like one person tried to defend 7, 8, 9, and he just got bodied.
Yeah.
Just bodied.
I honestly, I like 7. I get that they were just basically copying the first movie. It's almost beat for beat, and like
it's hard to hate because
the Han Solo stuff was just like stupid, but I get why they had to do it.
The reason 7, 8, and 9 don't feel good is because like, and this is where it's like I grew up on 1, 2, and 3 coming out as I was a kid, and I love 1, 2, and 3. I recognize that they have issues. I understand 4, 5, and 6 is like untouchable to a lot of people, but I think 1, 2, and 3, for what the story is supposed to be, where you see the origin of what you saw previously, I think it does a really good job. I think it does what it needs to, and a lot of people have issues with it. Should give it a chance at least. I think I should like reconsider your views. Like, oh, he acts like a teenager. He's supposed to be. Oh, there's some dumb shit. It's supposed to demonstrate the flaws of the whatever. But 7, 8, and 9 just feels like. It's kind of like a lot of stuff nowadays where there's so many remakes, remasters, redos. Like, hey, remember that thing from 20 years ago? Well, we're going to redo it again. And you're like, I would rather either you do nothing or something original and at least take a risk than just a rehash that is by objectively going to be worse because you're just trying to replicate the old stuff. And not only that, with this new stuff, there's this like almost arrogant nature of like, what? It's not good enough for you? You're not going to support your favorite? Like,
you entitled fan.
Yeah, you have Yeah, when your franchise is 30 fucking years old.
Yes, I have expectations. Yes.
There's people who have like grandchildren who grew up on the original. Of course, they had a whole life to enjoy, appreciate, develop an interest. And now you expect that you can just come in and do whatever you want, and everyone owes you the money and gratitude for. Oh, they're so. Thank you for making another movie in my then don't make one. Yeah,
my brother Dan the Man Maloney, who also guest hosts on the show and was previously a host on Hit the Mats podcast, our previous wrestling podcast. He absolutely he adores Star Wars. Like he's probably the biggest Star Wars geek that I know. And we saw was it episode 8, the Rian Johnson one? We saw episode 8 together. And like he's like, I don't know how I feel. And I'm like, dude, it was bad. He's like, I don't know. I mean, they used Puppet Yoda. I'm like, they made Puppet Yoda a Nazi book burner. Like, like he burned the tree of knowledge with all the books inside. Like, is that the Yoda you want? Like,
they ruined Luke's character to the point where I don't understand how you
Yeah.
can find that to be some kind of like
when the actor is like avoiding interviews
Yeah.
and like having to like play nice with Disney because they're threatening to sue him. Like,
he's like, it's a movie. Like, okay,
there's probably an issue. Like, I don't need to see, you know, old Luke Skywalker guzzling blue titty milk. Like, that didn't need to be in the movie. Like,
I hate the fact that Adam Driver.
Yeah, the actor.
I forget how you spell his last name. He's a fantastic actor, I want to say, because I've seen him in other movies.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think everybody like pulled their A game as far as acting.
Oh
talent.
yeah, the acting was great. There was no issues with like the characters.
Like Harrison Ford, his death scene was probably the only thing that was really awkward, but I think everything else was like.
I think the
excellent.
dialogue was the worst because.
Oh yeah.
Like you have a line, and I guess spoilers. I mean, it's you don't watch. It's not worth it.
Rose's death scene is.
There's so many scenes that like a lot of people.
So
and
bad.
This is what I mean, where it's like some people you'll find a way to defend anything. I think if you want to, because everybody values different things. But when it comes to like Adam Driver's character being immature and childish, people will defend because, he's a misled kind of teenager, young adult trying to suffer. But then Hayden Christensen literally playing a teenage boy who has been kind of adopted and almost like indoctrinated, depending how you want to stretch it.
He didn't have good parents.
He didn't even have...
He was born a slave.
Yeah, he was born a slave. People hate episode 2 because their romance feels childish, because it is. His whole attitudes with his problems with the Jedi is like rebelliousness for the sake of rebelliousness, even though it makes sense because he grew up a slave and he feels oppressed, and he's the whole potential with him is so like it's contrived because he just has high emotions, but that's kind of the point. Like he's not just he's emotionally
unstable.
He's unstable. He's not a conforming. He's too independent to be a Jedi. And the most interesting part about Star Wars is understanding that the Jedi and Sith are not good and evil. It's like Gryffindor and Slytherin in Harry Potter. They're two sides of the same, like, use your, what energy drives you to be ambitious and productive in life? Is it discipline and logic, or is it passion and like your determination at all, are you a code of honor kind of person, or are you just, I have my own reservations, my own passions, and come hell or high water, I'm going to be true to myself. Those are interesting things to explore, I think, in stories. And a lot of the modern, I think there's a lot of that nuance kind of lost in, especially 7, 8, and 9, where it's just kind of like the answer is not really ever anything. It's just like, oh, well, everybody kind of sucks and everything kind of sucks, but I guess we got to go fight the bad guys again.
Yeah. I'm not defending the 1, 2, and 3 necessarily, but they're watchable. They're not as bad as everybody wants to claim they are. The second one's really rough at times. Just because of how it's filmed and the lines, like the dialogue's really rough at times.
The CGI is a little
it goes
outdated
slow.
Too.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed 7. I'm like, okay, it's formulaic. They're basically copying the first movie. I see what they're doing, but hey, like it's nostalgic, it's fun. Like they have a diverse cast that's interesting. They made Finn. I thought Finn was probably the most interesting character at the start, and then the second movie with Rian Johnson just like made him a side character and like sent him on a side quest to a casino for an hour for something that they didn't need in the first place, because then they didn't use the thing that they went there to get. Like that movie was probably as bad as I've ever seen, just period. And it soured my passion for Star Wars so much, I still have not watched a single Star Wars product since then. And my brother's been trying to get me on like Mandalorian and all this stuff, and I'm sure it's great, but Rian Johnson single-handedly ruined that franchise for me.
I will say this, and this is where my girlfriend hadn't seen Star Wars until about last year, because people don't always catch up with movies and stuff. So we went through our whole, watched Lord of the Rings, watched Star Wars. So I just want to say something about Star Wars content. I think that it's become the same saturated issue as like Marvel has become, where when you had your 6 movies, it was great. You had like your books, you had your games, you had a bunch of lore expansion, but you had 6 mainline kind of big official productions. Mm-hmm. Now there's a bunch of TV shows, and this is where people are like excited because it's more Star Wars content. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you don't just need content for the sake of content. Like the question of, would you guys just rather not have anything is, yeah, I'd rather it just be good things that come occasionally instead of all this shovelware in a way. But yeah, I want to say, you've not seen Obi-Wan, the show.
Nope. Haven't seen Obi-Wan, haven't seen Mandalorian, haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, haven't seen the Andor stuff. I'm sure it's great. And like,
I'll just, for anyone watching who's seen Obi-Wan, I challenge you that Obi-Wan is shit tier fan fiction levels of stupid and absurd. Even the parts that people like, because I'm sure you know the general idea of what it is.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about it on the show enough that I know pretty much what happens.
Don't understand why. I just want to make this point because Star Wars is a great example of this. Not every cool scenario that you come up with in your head where 2 characters meet and have a confrontation that you think in your what's the term? Your ship or
imagination,
headcanon, whatever. Not every one of that needs to happen. And the reason it's because a lot of these interesting creative ideas and what if scenarios are cool as I'm a fan of something and I like to come up with my own, what if this happened? What if Darth Vader lived after episode 6 or something, right? Yeah. What if he came back to life? Because there's stories like that. There's people have written.
Yeah, there's a lot of comics.
Yeah, that's fine. But when you try to, it's like kind of like all those like horror movie origin stories for killers. It's like, why is he such a fucked up? Like, why does Leatherface have a chainsaw? Yeah. Why does his stepdad have a shotgun? Oh, it's because he killed the cop and took it. Like, you don't need to know why that happens.
Yeah, they're scarier because you don't know that.
Yes. Yeah. Like, sometimes less is more. And
leave something to the imagination.
And this obsession with like trying to make sure that's like, we need to outdo ourselves. We need to do all the cool, what you think is cool. But then you start to realize like a lot of the interesting aspects of this is fans kind of like coming to their own conclusions about stuff, coming to their own like, this is how it must have happened, right? That's all I think a lot of people didn't like 1, 2, and 3 is because you're like, you're telling me this fucking kid from Tatooine is what becomes Darth Vader? A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people see the Jake Lloyd, I think the actor's name was, they see that kid, they're like, that's not fucking Darth Vader. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, well, they want to tell that's the whole point, is to tell a story from back to front, backwards, halfway.
Yeah,
but
no.
Sometimes you don't need that. And I think that we've reached that point with Star Wars. I think we've reached that point with comics, where not every side adventure needs to be a 2.5-hour movie with a budget bigger than the Vatican.
Yeah. Doing cocaine comics. Are you listening? We don't need a $400 million Aquaman 2 with Amber Heard forcefully removed. We just don't.
CGI an elephant instead of
yeah, the running joke is we need a fat bat Ben Affleck like underwater, but like have all the lines the same, so he's like all romantic and stuff, and it's like a poorly cropped Ben Affleck just like in her place. So yeah, it's rough, and you're completely right. We're getting too far into the let's explain every little single thing about our favorite universes, because we can keep exploiting cash out of our fan base for it, And, some people want to know certain things, which is, fine, but some of the discussion about it is like half the fun, the mystique, where's the mystique?
It's most of it, I would argue, right? Because
yeah,
the interesting thing, imagine like back, whether it's, with coworkers during lunch or in middle school during lunch, you're like your kind of own theories of like, here's what I think happened. Here's why I think that is.
Yeah.
A lot of it gets lost where I think
we're in the age of Reddit. Like, why wouldn't you want more mystique? Like, let people talk about it.
I think the other issue, and this might be an age kind of thing, maybe it's just the digital age kind of we live in. I don't think a lot of movies and shows have room to breathe with how much content is produced so quickly and how quickly it becomes trendy and then immediately irrelevant. Because you get, like, again, Star Wars, you had... And I'm pretty sure Star Wars 1 was like 1979 or something, right? Then Episode 2 was like 3 or 4 years later, right? Or 70. I don't remember the years, but like they were years apart. You had time to really process stuff. And I know they still kind of do it, but you don't get that level of like you got all, again, there's the thing that like teasers and trailers and all this like behind the scenes where it's like you don't spend time thinking and theorizing and being a fan with your friends about something.
Yeah.
You spend more time consuming something as quickly as possible in these bulk amounts, binging it or what have you. And then it just kind of gets like, oh, it wasn't very good. And the worst possible thing you could do is there's two worst possible things. You can either make it mediocre so people don't care at all because like, it's an offensive. No one's going to give a shit in 20 years. Or you do what Game of Thrones did, where you start off as groundbreaking, amazing show and end on such a level to where most people don't even want to start and watch the first half because the ending is not worth it.
Yeah.
That is so tragic. But that's what happens.
We got to avoid Game of Thrones because every week we end up talking about Game of Thrones at some point and how frustrating it is that they finished that show before George R.R. Martin finished the fucking books. He still had 2 books to go, and he's making Elden Ring. He's making all these like encyclopedias, doing all this side projects. He made a prequel book that is now a TV show, like,
which is okay, I guess.
Could you just finish the fucking book series? Like, could you make an ending, please, before you die? Like, he's super old. He's super out of shape. Like, that dude is not going to live to 100. He doesn't have that much time left unless something dramatic happens with his health. Like, this dude needs to fucking crank out these books. Well, like, finish the books.
I guess to end the rant on a more philosophical note. Fuck Game of Thrones.
Let's just end it there.
I do have. I just want to make a profound statement to like leave people with something to think about at least. In 20 years, whether when you have kids or your kids have kids, depending on how old you are, whatever, will that movie /show /video game /comic, anything, will that piece of art, because I think that it's a product, but it's art, it's emotive of emotion, will that be relevant or interesting or valuable enough for you to share it with them? And will it be possible for them to appreciate it? If the answer is no, think about why. And why what we just discussed with like longevity, shovelware, and all that. Because that's my biggest issue with it, is that there's some movies like you got like, Terminator's in the Library of Congress, Indiana Jones in the Library. Those movies are being preserved because clearly they had a societal impact. People like them.
Yeah.
In 20, 30 years, no one is going to give a fuck about Game of Thrones. And that's tragic, given at least the first 4 seasons and the first 5 books.
Yeah, for sure. You bring up great points. I'm glad to have you on the show because, quite frankly, like you seem to have more similar opinions to me than Emery and Nick Marlatt. So, hey,
passion.
Yeah, reinforcing.
We get angry when you fuck with the shit we like. Who knew?
Other than back to the original topic, which I forgot about, Glass Onion on Netflix. It's good. I had the same problem with the Knives Out movie. Like, you know who did it. Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, who's the character that's the most deplorable? That's probably the person that did it. Like, every situation. And then he has some big over-the-top, revelation at the end. I think I probably enjoyed this one more than the first one just because of the kind of like commentary on real life that's kind of included in it. There's a lot of, it's just... He's basically an analogy for Elon Musk as the main character that's inviting all this eccentric billionaire tech person that's inviting all his influencer friends to this island. There's, this washed actress that says stupid, silly shit, like controversial shit. She's basically Kanye West. There's like a Joe Rogan analogy who's played by Dave Bautista, and he's basically this super bro.
Smoking a joint, and he's like, listen.
Yeah, and he has a whole channel on Twitch where he's talking about like brodom and like being a man, and like he's basically like a caricature of Joe Rogan. Like all of the characters are there's a politician that's very clearly an analogy for a real politician. Like all of these people at the island are just analogies to real life people, and it's great satire, and that way I like it. But the story itself is predictable.
Is it really preachy in that sense? Is it like, look,
no.
These are bad people, you shouldn't like these, or is it
no,
open-ended enough?
It doesn't. It does, like at the end, it does give some redemption to each of the characters in a little bit of a way. But no, I wouldn't say it's like beating you over the head with it. It's very much comical. I would say it's kind of like Don't Look Up. Have you seen that on Netflix?
No.
Oh my god.
I'm a little behind on movies.
Oh, if you have Netflix, if you don't, let me know.
I have Netflix.
I'll get you hooked up. But yeah, Don't Look Up is so painfully great as a comedy.
What's Don't Look Up about?
Well, it's about
Elevator.
Our society. A very caricaturized.
We live in a society.
Yeah, it's very It's a modern Idiocracy. Have you seen
I like
Idiocracy?
A lot.
It's
okay.
It's that without the dildo cars. Yeah.
Well, hey, without the dildo cars.
Yeah, it's a more grounded version of Idiocracy. It's basically a situation that's very much analogous to situations we as a society have found ourselves in. This graduate student discovers an asteroid that's on track to hit Earth in a certain amount of time, and she brings it to her professor. They identify, oh yeah, she's right. Oh fuck, we gotta tell somebody. And so they go and talk to the government. Government confirms it, and then they go to the president, and that's when the shit starts. And it just it's painful to watch because of how on point it is. And it's not beating you over the head with it. It's just putting it in your face, in your lap, hey, you know you've seen this. You know that some of this is kind of true and would probably happen. And I don't want to spoil anything because it's one of those movies that had me literally crying laughing because of how painful and hilarious it was. I highly recommend it. Star-studded cast from top to bottom. I mean, okay. They got everybody. They got Leo DiCaprio. They got
What year is it?
I think it came out last year.
Okay,
so it's not too old.
Don't Look Up 2022. Homework for you and me.
Yes, watch on Netflix. It's amazing. It's hilarious and super painful. Emery and I fucking love it. I don't know if Nick Marlat's seen it yet, but oh my god. Oh, if you want satire.
I love satire.
Then that's the perfect movie for a modern audience. And beyond that, I watched a few comedy specials. I watched one of Tom Segura's comedy specials. Just a side note, I didn't realize he was from Ohio. He's from Cincinnati, and I had no idea.
You know who else is from Ohio?
Who?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, well, we don't need to say that too loudly.
Yeah. He's from Shaker Heights.
Oh,
Cleveland.
Really? Oh, wow.
Which is
there's a lot of dudes there's a lot of wrestlers from Cleveland too, like the Miz.
Okay.
The Paul brothers. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we had a comment about the Paul brothers.
We got Drew Carey. There we go.
Our D&D game.
That's wholesome. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of great people and questionable people.
Is that why people
Ohio.
don't like Ohio? There's that whole meme where it's at least it's not Ohio. It's we live here and we're fine.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I lived in New York, I lived in Illinois, I lived in Michigan, and quite frankly, other than upstate New York, there's a reason I came back to Ohio. So fuck you all. If you don't like Ohio, you need to get out. No.
We're holding down the fort.
No, I'm kidding. There's good things and bad things about it. It's very flat. If you want to go see mountains, go somewhere else. But
go to Colorado.
Yeah, but hey, we don't have to deal with grizzly bears or rattlesnakes too often. So that's nice.
The worst I get is centipedes in my apartment.
Yeah, you don't have black widow spiders. You don't have alligators eating your kids at the golf course. It's pretty nice. Not a lot will kill you. It may be diabetes, but that's about it.
There is a lot of diabetes.
There's a lot of diabetes. Yeah. All right, moving into the news.
Diabetes strikes again.
As always, we're going to separate this into timestamp sections: a movies and TV portion, a video game portion, a comic book portion, a tech portion. So if you want to skip any sections, if you look down in the description, you can find those timestamps. So definitely take use or make use of that, rather. And let me know if there's anything else you would like me to do to improve the show. All right, first section will be movies and TV. First bit of news, a Tomb Raider TV series is currently being written for Amazon Prime. This is one of many video game TV projects that continue to come out. What do you think about that?
Well, we had a Tomb Raider movie in 2005?
Well,
and that's kind of it.
There's the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies.
Is there anything else?
Then there was a reboot movie that was based on the reboot video games. And
what was that?
2019, 2018, somewhere around there.
Okay. Just like COVID has fucked everything.
See, your reaction,
2020 and 2022 is like
your reaction is probably what the audience reaction was. Oh, it exists. Yeah, because it didn't get published very well. I don't think it got reviewed very well. Nobody saw it, but it exists if you want to go see it.
Like the problem too is like so you have Tomb Raider is basically female Indiana Jones. And I think we're getting another one of those.
And we have Uncharted on top of that.
We have Uncharted, which is Tomb Raider with a guy. It's like kind of weird because you went from, Harrison Ford to Lara Croft to Nathan Drake.
Yep.
Like, I understand it's an interesting genre, like exploring ruins and stuff. But like, I think the problem is like, my question would be, how do you make a movie out of that? How do you make that interesting? It's like, oh, there's a cave. Oh, there's like aliens, dinosaurs, like what are we doing?
I mean, it's just a dumb fun movie. It's like National Treasure. Like
National Treasure is only good because Nicolas Cage, especially in the second where he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna kill the president of the United States.
Yeah. Did you see the trailer for his new vampire movie? Where he's
Nicolas Cage is in a vampire movie.
Yeah, he's playing Count Dracula.
I gotta fucking see that. I haven't seen the trailer.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the name of his servant, who the name escapes me right now.
Alucard.
No, not Alucard. I can't remember his servant's name. It's not Igor. Fuck is his name? Oh well, who cares? Go watch that trailer. It's hilarious.
Okay. I'll watch anything with Nicolas Cage.
It's very much like a tongue-in-cheek kind of comedy role, it seems, and it looks awesome. I'm totally down for it. I'm totally down for Nick Cage movies in general. Like, I get a lot of them are bad, or real bad, but even the bad ones I still enjoy a little bit.
8mm is like the most, I think, serious one he's ever been in. Would you say?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
The most like subject matter that's genuinely kind of like depressing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Joaquin Phoenix is also in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But 8mm is really good. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's like 1999, I think. But
the man's won an Oscar for a reason, so he's not a schlub. He just takes way too many bad roles, poorly written roles.
He makes it fun, which is the point of movies. So
yeah, shout out to Nick Cage.
But no, Tomb Raider sounds just... I don't understand, like, the goal, I guess. Like, is it just a summer blockbuster? Like, are you trying to recreate The Mummy? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, there's not, like, a deep lore. Like, even Uncharted has, like, some lore with the character and his family and, like, his relationship with Sully and his relationship with his wife and, like, his relationship with his brother in the fourth game. Like, there's something there. With Laura, it's like, I got a butler, I guess. Like, and, I go and destroy tombs and kill native peoples.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of like...
what is...
How do you make... Especially with
and I'm
nowadays...
hot.
Right, like, I was going to say, like, for modern movies, they try to be super progressive to almost like an obnoxious extent. Like, how do you do that with, like, Lara Croft of all people?
Yeah, I mean, they did it okay with, like, the modernization, like the rebooted video games.
But that's because...
But again, she's destroying ancient temples and, like, shooting native peoples in the face with arrows. Like, like at the core, it's still not that great. Like, there's some... I mean, they're fun games, and that's what they need to be. So, to your point, I think this would be better off as a rebooted movie series, because you can go to a movie, eat some popcorn, have some dumb fun in 2 hours, and you don't think a second time about it. If you're doing a TV series, like, you have to sustain interest with, like, character development and deep dialogue and, like, character interactions, which the Tomb Raider doesn't really have.
The best TV shows, whether it's... I'm a big X-Files fan, like anything from X-Files, Game of Thrones, like we mentioned, even, like, stand-up comedy like Seinfeld, not stand-up, like any... From comedic to dramatic to tragic. Shakespeare. The most good TV shows are largely character driven.
Absolutely.
And I don't think Tomb Raider is very...
That's why Last of Us works so well, right?
That's what I haven't seen it yet. I really want to.
Have you played the games?
I know,
or at least the first game.
I've played some of the first game. I know the storyline generally. I didn't have a PlayStation when they first came out, but I want to play them. I'm very interested in I like zombies. So,
do you have a PS5 by chance?
No PS5. I have PS4. I have both games. I just
well, you can probably still play it if you have like the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus, like either the middle tier or the top tier.
I have. Both
you have
games on, like they're just in shrink wrap still. Cause...
Just put it on the easiest setting and just blow through it. Like second game.
Okay,
you can play it. You don't have to.
No spoilers, but the second game, I don't know the full story. I know what
it's very divisive.
I really like the whole halfway through you go to see the other perspective. I don't know anything about it except that it does that, and I love when movies do shit like that or games do anything like that unique perspective shift where it's like, oh, you thought you were gonna be like doing this, like no, we're gonna completely subvert your expectations in a good way for that. So, but. I guess maybe next time
it's divisive. You don't have to play it necessarily, but like if you want to like compare and contrast this first season of HBO Max's Last of Us,
I hear it's really good.
Play the video game, please. I beg anybody out there that's watching the show and enjoying it. I'm begging you, put it on the easiest setting or watch somebody play through it. Just blaze through that game and get the context for the show because it'll make that show even better for you. It'll enhance it.
I have a question for you. I really like the first few seasons of Walking Dead. How does it compare in terms of that whole humanity struggle aspect?
Way better.
Way better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've read the whole run of Walking Dead. I've watched probably 6 seasons of the show. I don't even know where we're at now. It's still going. Yeah. It's they should have ended it a long time ago, but and I enjoy The Walking Dead a lot, generally speaking, but yeah, Last of Us blows it out of the water. It's not even close, in my opinion. You know, I'm sure there's aspects of it that you could compare, but I think Last of Us is so much more grounded in reality, I think, which is funny to say when you're talking about these parasitic, fungi taking over people's bodies, but like the character development, the way people just are handled. Like, you know, you don't have some superhero character just like coming in to save the day. Like,
well, that's what
if bad shit's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
That's why zombies are so interesting because it's essentially sci-fi, right? Yeah. Most sci-fi's like that. It challenges the human condition in a very extreme circumstance, whether it's zombies or aliens.
Yeah. What's crazy is it's based on like a real fungus that exists and literally takes over like ants and small insects and stuff, and basically like controls their brain and makes them go to places where they can spread more spores, and then it kills them and explodes them. Yeah. And that, spoilers again, there's types of zombies, for lack of a better term, clickers, that basically bloat and explode and spread spores everywhere. That's like the most mature version of the infection, you know. It's just a parasite. So yeah, highly recommend. Go play the game. Put it on easy mode if you don't want to like, you know, sit with it for a long time. Just blaze through it. Don't do the side stuff. There's not a lot of side stuff anyway. It's mostly just like a very, you know, this is where you got to go. These are the people you got to talk to. It's not like it's some big open world that takes hours and hours and hours. You can probably beat it in less than 10 hours if you really are just quick and easy with it. So
getting lots of homework on this.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yep. I'm here to help you. Don't see this as homework. That's a bad word. This is something you will enjoy. That's what I'm telling you.
Enhance your understanding of the arts.
All right. Well, famously, I have had a lot of quarrels with Warner Brothers, DC, and now Warner Brothers Discovery, the combined unit. However, I am very much approving of a lot of what James Gunn has done since he took over. Him and Peter Safran, I think, deserve a lot of credit because they're getting a lot of kind of hate for basically saying, all right, we're done playing this game, will we, won't we, with the Snyderverse. We're just going to release these last few movies and then we're moving on. And I fucking love that because I've been begging for that for 10 years. And we wasted an entire generation and probably hurt the brand a lot with a lot of the Snyderverse stuff. Not all of it. Some of it was good. I love Shazam. You know, there's some redeeming qualities to Batman v Superman, but not a lot. You know, but there's not much past that. The Suicide Squad, which is the second one that was done by James Gunn, is outstanding. Like it's easily the best of the DC EU movies from the Snyderverse. But the original Suicide Squad is probably one of the worst movies of all time. So bad, in fact, that I refused to watch it because it won an Oscar and had a great trailer. And I told Emery, hey, that's an Oscar award-winning film, and I'm not going to let you ruin my illusion. And then he bought it for me for Christmas, so I had to watch it out of friendship obligation. I
made it 30 minutes into the original Suicide Squad.
It's so bad. It's insanely bad.
It's written... This is an interesting technique I've the past few years I've used to judge whether a movie is well written or not. Because you have to understand that a movie, you know how like D&D is a good example of this. When you write dialogue or a story, right? Have you ever like written a story or you there's a lot of drafts that things go through, right? Your first draft of how someone may talk will go through changes and be like, that's cringy, that's not concise, that's awkward, that's too short, that's too long.
Yeah.
These movies, like if you're trying to give them like, oh well, at least it's not. No. The bulk of talent in terms of actors, writers, producers, directors, there is no fucking excuse for some of the bullshit that gets put out for as movies nowadays. The amount of money people get paid to make something that is you as like, if you're 15 and ever taken an English literature class, you could go, this is poor storytelling. This is not well versed. These scenes don't weave into each other. The narrative is not balanced and like, when you can do that with, how many millions of like invest in these movies? Like 40 to 50 million?
The
movies are really expensive.
That's one of the reasons why Warner Brothers was near bankruptcy, is because they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these CGI shit fests and not getting nearly enough.
It's what happened with Transformers in like the 2000s, where like you had movies that were painfully badly written, but the robots beating the shit out of each other looked so good, and you're like, well, I guess some people, and that's enough for some people, and I guess, you know what, if you're that kind of person, I can't convince you to have higher standards if that's what you like.
Hey, Beast Wars is coming. They're still doing it.
But my point is, if all you have to do to get better movies is, one, don't support shit and don't pay for the movie ticket.
Yeah, vote with your wallet.
Vote with your
wallet. As much as you can. I know it's hard when you want to stay relevant. But...
And two, with like a lot of this stuff, like it's very easy for people on social media where they're like, oh, you know, you just don't like it because of the politics or the gender or whatever. It's like, no, make it clear that the writing is awful and we don't support this. Be an adult about this kind of shit.
Don't be an entitled fan.
It's like you're an entitled, like, I'm sorry, it's like, I said it's art earlier, but it's both art and a product, and it's there to make money. If you don't pay for it, they're not going to make any.
Hey, there's a lot of art that I don't like. There's a lot of art that is a masterpiece, and like everybody universally appreciates, but not everybody likes it. Pick your poison.
So there's a renaissance, in summary, happening with Marvel currently, or is it or DC?
Sorry. Yes and no. Yes, in that we're resetting, and James Gunn has a proven track record of making great superhero movies with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, with the Suicide Squad, with the Peacemaker Season 1, which is hilarious, and I'm so thankful that he's doing Season 2, because a lot of people were worried they weren't going to do it with the whole reset, but we're going to outline it in the news here, but unfortunately, just because they've already made the movies, and they've already spent all the money, they already canceled one, Batgirl, that was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive movie, but it was reportedly so terrible that they publicly stated that it would hurt the brand if we released this film.
Is that the one with the red hair Batgirl, where her hair, for some reason, it's outside of her mask, or is that something else?
You're talking about Batwoman, probably, the CW show?
Yeah, that was... Yeah. Fucking horrible.
With Ruby Rose, and then they had to replace Ruby Rose because she's like, this is bad, I'm not doing Season 2.
That was a pile of shit. This is something different?
Yeah, it was Batgirl that with the modern comic book, like goofy purple yellow costume, but apparently, and unfortunately, it starred Brendan Fraser too, who I love, so it sucks that he was in a bad film. But thankfully, we'll never see it, so his care's not ruined again.
He's got The Whale, which is supposed to top of the list for me right now.
I think he won the Oscar for it, right?
It's supposed to be really good.
They think he's going to. He won a Golden Globe or something for it, but unfortunately, we still got to work through these last few movies that they already filmed, already spent all this money on. they had to delay a lot of them specifically because they're making universe changes. Ezra Miller, the Flash actor, keeps getting arrested because at one point he had a weird cult going on. He broke into somebody's house and stole their like $1,000 bottles of wine. He was like taking an AR-15 and like threatening a bunch of people, wearing body armor in public, and like threatening to shoot people and saying crazy shit, like having mental health problems. He was saying that like he was gonna like give birth to like some Native American revolutionary,
like personally,
I don't. He didn't. I'm sure he didn't elaborate very well, but just all sorts of crazy shit. He's been in and out of trouble. He keeps saying he's gonna get help, and DC keeps making him have a public apology tour to save this movie, The Flash, that was supposed to be like the relaunch of the DCEU.
You need the tour for me. Like, listen, guys, please go watch this movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go to New York.
And it's like
sorry. Go to Columbia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Batgirl was like a $60 million investment. This is like a $250 million blockbuster that was supposed to be like the cornerstone of the future of the DCEU. So, Ezra Miller, who is terrible, by the way. I do not like him as the Flash at all. He's possibly the worst Flash I've ever seen. Representative, and it's not even close. But all that being said, apparently this movie is so great that they are just doing everything they can to save it and like modify it so it makes sense for the future. And apparently it still will be the reset button for the DCEU, because if you're familiar with Flashpoint, the Flash story, where basically it's like a crisis event and it like rebooted the whole universe for the comic book series, because it uses the Time Force to like change things in the past to, you know, like try to save his mom, and it launches all these different alternative realities and causes all sorts of chaos and all bunch of crazy shit. They're going that route probably. We saw some promotional teasers for it. Apparently there's going to be a trailer during the Super Bowl for the movie. It's coming in June. And it shows Michael Keaton Batman. So at some point he's going to go into that version of the DC universe, which will be cool to see Michael Keaton again.
Tim Burton-y, more edgy.
Yeah.
Kinda. No, I think the problem I think with a lot of the Marvel stuff is that it becomes really samey in a way, right? When you make a extended universe,
formulaic, yeah.
Like, it's like Robert Downey Jr. is no longer Robert Downey Jr. He's fucking Tony Stark, right? Like, and I think that what I liked when we had, like, 1989, 90 Batman was like, it was what? Michael Keaton, then it was Val Kilmer. Yep. Then it was George fucking Clooney.
Ugh. Love you, George, but that was
not I don't think he puts that on his resume.
No.
But then you had, like, I think opportunities for different superheroes to be played by different actors and have different completely. So I really like the Joker movie for that reason, is that it has almost nothing to do with Joker. And
do you know about the sequel?
They're making a sequel?
Yes, they're making a cash grab sequel, Joker 2, called Folie à Deux, and it's, according to rumors, it's a musical with Harley Quinn being played by Lady Gaga. No, I'm not joking. Yes, this is real. They're going to ruin a great thing.
But the whole point, like, the Joker is the
shock in your face.
No,
is
because
so funny.
The
to me
movie
right now.
Joker was it's a movie about mental health.
Hey, you can be like insane and in a musical at the same time.
Like a musical implies like jovialness and like happy-go-lucky. I mean, like, most musicals are not like, you want to think of it as like Shakespeare as like the ultimate guy who set the framework for drama. Most musicals are not fucking tragedies. Joker is very much a tragedy. Joker is not supposed to be a happy-go-lucky feel-good movie. It's supposed to be a movie that, although maybe a little bit edgy at times, it's supposed to be like, if you ever seen Falling Down with what's his face, Michael Douglas, I think.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a more, I think it does a better job. I have a friend who disagrees, but I think it does a good job portraying a very intense, realistic situation given a character. And that's where it's like interesting, like the Punisher. I mean, I guess all the kind of became like that, but like the Punisher, when it first came out, you know, it's like you have your Frank Castle, who's just a badass, like, I'm going to kill people who are bad and rapists or whatever. And then you have the fact that the Punisher is literally someone who's a traumatic, wounded person struggling with the fact that they live this lifestyle, that they lived that lifestyle, and it bleeds into them attempting to live a normal life. Those are interesting, again, because they're character-driven and they relate to the human condition. Making a fucking musical out of Joker sounds like the most tone-deaf thing you could do, given the original movie. Like,
see, now you're starting to understand why we call it doing cocaine comics, because this is what they do. They ruin a good thing because they just can't help themselves.
You know what they can't ruin, though? Batman Beyond. I fucking love Batman Beyond, and they can't touch it.
Don't say that.
You cannot!
They'll find a way. Don't say that.
What's his name? Terry
McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis. Yeah. Do not fuck with that. Batman Beyond is like one of my favorite fucking Batman anything things.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so good. Go if you have never seen Batman Beyond. Well, watch Batman Beyond and Batman. I think it's 2 movies, right? It's Batman Beyond and Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
I know about Return of the Joker. I don't know if there's another one.
I forget if it was 2. Anyway,
they had a Justice League special, which was actually the
maybe
finale.
That's
Justice League Unlimited, it was one episode that was basically the finale for the series.
I think that's what I'm thinking of as a movie then. But yeah, go watch Batman Beyond. It's phenomenal. It is a cyberpunk futuristic take on Batman with like where Batman's old as shit and it's a younger guy who's like his successor, and it makes the most awesome transition of Batman was cool and all, but he had some flaws, and it highlights them in a very organic, mature, for a cartoon, very mature, very like intense subject matter. How do you ruin Joker? Like, they caught lightning in a bottle. Anyway.
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Okay.
I 100% agree with you. We've ranted about this a million times on the show.
DC is getting a renaissance. Things are going good. Reset button. Thanos, Tony Stark, finger snap, whatever.
Now, it's worth noting that James Gunn has largely said he's very much hands off on the Joker stuff and on the Batman, the Matt Reeves version of Batman. We have 2 party fouls on this show. This is the most chaotic fucking show as far as our eating and drinking on here. Apologies, folks. If you're watching the YouTube channel, we're just making a fucking mess all over this table with our beers.
Kind of like they're making a mess of your guys' favorite movies for all you who grew up on this shit.
Yes. Because we're entitled fans. And that's what
How
we do.
dare we?
I know. But unfortunately, they still got to release this movie. They still got to do the Aquaman 2, which is significantly delayed because they have to remove Amber Heard and somehow make the edits make sense. They still have the Blue Beetle movie coming up, which should be, by all intents and purposes, a good movie, but it'll be completely disconnected from this new DC universe. It's just the last little holdover from the Snyderverse. There's the Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, coming in March next month, which I'm looking forward to, but again, be totally disconnected. It's always been a separate thing. They wanted to tie it in, and then like The Rock was like, I don't have any interest in having Black Adam go up against Shazam, even though that's his fucking character. He just wants to go up against Superman, but that's not happening now either because The Rock pissed off Warner Brothers apparently. And his movie also didn't do very well, so there's that. But James Gunn released a video that was really cool. If you follow him on Twitter, he gives a lot of great news and insight and kind of gives like what the basis of these movies is going to be. He's using a lot of Grant Morrison comic runs for DC Comics. Grant Morrison's he has very eccentric takes on stuff sometimes. However, he's universally accepted as like a great writer. Has great stories, great interpretations of characters. He goes off the hinges a little bit and goes a little bit goofy and crazy with some things in his Elseworld comics especially. But it's great source material to pull from if you're trying to make something different, something new, something fans haven't seen yet. He explained that there's going to be basically 2 phases to this new endeavor. The first main function is basically wrap up the Snyderverse, and then any other kind of side projects that are being produced by other makers, those will be officially labeled DC Elseworlds going forward instead of the DC EU, which was the kind of the Snyderverse analog.
How fucked do you have to get your franchise to where you start like categorizing as that's the other thing that we make, not the good mainline buy this please
doing cocaine comics led by Warner Brothers Discovery.
I hope you comic book fans who like these movies have a lot of expendable income to go to the theater every fucking month.
I would really recommend you don't support a lot of these movies and projects, but we'll see. Some are from good source material, some are apparently very good according to the people resetting this universe, so who knows, but it's also their job to sell this shit, so you also got to take it with a grain of salt. So, like I said, first up, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That's coming March 2023. The Flash will be coming in June of 2023. This will apparently be the reset button for the DC Universe that explains how we're going to get into the future of the DCU. There's the Lingering Blue Beetle movie, which will be its own individual thing, which I'm looking forward to. There will be the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which is Aquaman 2, which, again, is probably going to be rough. It's probably going to be a really rough re-edit. There's Joker 2, Folie à Deux, the rumored musical sequel starring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
Fuck all of you.
There's Matt Reeves' The Batman 2, which Emery and I are not particularly fans of, but a lot of people like it.
Is that a sequel to the
Batman?
Okay.
With Twilight Boy.
Are we able to take a pause here to talk about the Batman?
We can.
I fucking hate it.
Oh, thank God. Because Emery and I also fucking hate it, because the entire movie is about how this fucking rich, spoiled asshole doesn't have any self-restraint and presses every button and types in every keyword that the Riddler asks him to and kills everybody in the movie. Like, literally no one in the movie died except for it without his influence.
Okay. I want to preface this because Robert Pattinson is a fantastic actor. I will say that. There's been some really good movies with him. I hate Lighthouse as a movie. I know that's going to piss off a lot of people. I really didn't care for it, but I think his acting was amazing in it. Robert Pattinson can do so much better than what he did with the Batman.
Oh yeah.
Like, a lot of people typecast him as, Edward, or even in Harry Potter, he did a fucking better job as Cedric Diggory. But my point with Batman, and this is where a lot of people kind of went in, where it's like your expectations are, I was just entertained, I was whatever. There's two things I want to bring up with Batman. Number one, the characterization was completely fucking flat. Like, Catwoman was essentially Batgirl, because Catwoman was this it's like this tender and like kind of reserved, but like there for that. That's not fucking Catwoman. Catwoman is supposed to be selfish, elusive, very true neutral character. That pissed me off the whole time. I was like, you didn't read the comics. No, that's literally how she's in every comic and book. Her characterization was horrible. The characterization of Penguin was stupid.
Well, I like how they used all the props and makeup to make that actor look like another actor that already exists.
Listen, you had Danny DeVito as the Penguin in what, 1990? And whenever Batman Returns comes out,
92, I think, yeah,
92. You had that. That was in itself kind of a stretch, but it was fun. Like, it was like an interesting. You had
it made sense in the context.
It made sense. My problem. Okay, fuck all the small shit. The Batman fails on a fundamental level of portraying the attempt at showing this is the younger Batman, right? He's still struggling with his like powers, the responsibility, the levity of what he has to deal with. And number one, like the imagery is attempting to show him as like, there's that scene where he's like bearing the torch and getting everyone out. Everyone loves that. It's like, oh, it's an image. He's the torch bearer. And he has to come to the fact that the reason he doesn't kill is because like, he goes to that henchman and he's like, oh yeah, it's like, who cares, right? It's like supposed to see the fact that he needs to have reservation, because otherwise his example will influence other people to do poorly. So he has to lead by example, despite how difficult it is. And it's a responsibility. None of that is bad as an idea or a theme, just like you would study in literature. But from a completely like characterization standpoint and from a storyline standpoint, it doesn't show growth in any organic way. It's a lot of preachy bullshit that has nothing to do with anything. And not only that, you have a story about the Riddler, which I would not put the Riddler as like the changing cornerstone of Batman, right? Like, I would argue that the Joker would and I know they have that set up with the fucking other character, but you have the Riddler as like the what's his name? Enigma? Norman? Edward Enigma?
Edward Enigma, yep.
Like,
Edward Nigma.
You have this character who is such a stupid character, poorly written character, in my opinion. You have this characterization where it's like, this is the character that has the change of heart in Batman that causes him to become a lot more of the reserved, quiet, stoic, fighter. Like, no, and like
I'm really entertained by your issues with the movie because it's totally different than what Emery and I hate about the movie.
My issues are entirely thematic. My issues are like, the goal of this movie is to demonstrate the growth of Batman from like a young vigilante to why does he have this moral code and compass?
Yeah,
and it doesn't fucking do any of that. It just throws a bunch of bullshit like values and virtues in your face. It's like, oh look, bad things happen when you do bad things.
It's definitely like Man of Steel in that regard, where there's a bunch of like symbolism both visually and like thematically that just isn't executed very well.
There's no substance behind it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of like, this looks good. Wouldn't this be an interesting connection? Like,
I agree. Yeah. But it's funny that you're saying all these things, because the biggest problems Emery and I had with it was just the plot. Like the plot is retarded. Like I know that's not PC anymore, but it's retarded.
No, it is.
It's really dumb. Everything in that movie could have been prevented if Batman had 1 ounce of self-restraint. All he had to do is not do what the Riddler asked him to do. In fact, the movie is so self-aware of that fact that Batman is completely incompetent and leads to the death of all of these people in the movie, that at the end of the movie, the Riddler literally thinks he's on his side and that he's working with him. He accuses Batman of being his partner until Batman rages out and slams the glass and emphasizes that he's nothing like you. Because he's doing literally everything that he asked Batman to do. He brought the guy out in the daylight so he could snipe him. He entered every single clue and password into every computer interface. If he had just not done that, wouldn't have activated any of the traps or killed any of the people, wouldn't have flooded the city. And again, this dude is supposed to be the greatest detective of all time. And you know what? He doesn't know what a carpet tool is. He has to have some cop extra in the scene tell him that, my uncle, installs floors and that's a carpet tool. And he's like, oh, carpet tool. And then he realized, there might be something under this rug. I'll cut up the carpet. Oh, it's a map. The Riddler's telling me to enter this code. And if I do, all these bombs will explode. I probably shouldn't enter this code, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Hey, that's what he wants.
Because I'm Batman.
We have no choice.
Yeah,
Thank God they're not. They're still doing
At this point,
Christian
he's
Bale
already
voice.
in jail. You've already won.
Yeah.
So why are you setting off the trap? Then he takes a bomb to the face. No scarring.
That was stupid.
And instead of being taken to a hospital, they take him to the police, like the actual jail.
and he breaks out
while
in
he's
a very,
unconscious.
Weird way that would have never...
The cops are shooting at him inside the jail, inside the police department, with live rounds while he's fleeing. Then he jumps off the top of the building and slams his head into the bridge, and again survives all this unscathed. Not a scratch, not a burn mark, nothing. What else is stupid? There's so many dumb things about this movie.
I wanna. Okay, the plot was stupid. I always go for the bigger like picture stuff just because like the plot. I feel like that's I try not to go for that because I feel like
he
a lot
killed
of people...
like 40 people on the highway chasing the penguin.
Oh yeah,
because he didn't know Spanish.
Yeah, wow. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, looking back, that was...
Yeah, he didn't know an article in Spanish.
Okay,
so missed the clue, chased the wrong criminal, and killed a bunch of people on the highway by blowing up a fuel tanker.
I miss the Ra's al Ghul days. No, but okay, I want to say something about the plot.
It's the worst Batman ever.
I was on Reddit looking stuff about this movie, because there's no fucking way I walked out of that theater pissed off because I was already kind of in a bad mood going in, and like I was like, this is gonna cheer me up. And
it's
like,
really long too. It punishes you a long time.
It's 3 fucking hours.
Visually, it's stunning visually, and the sound is great, and I think that's why most people like it, because they're into the sound and the visual presentation.
People said that the villain was interesting because on one hand it's, oh, he's so crazy, you don't know what to expect from him, he's insane, he's unpredictable. So how did he like plan all this like shit in the city to like make all this happen and like organize this? Oh, he's a mastermind, he's always one step ahead, he's always super meticulous. Those two cannot coexist at the same time. You're either meticulous and methodical, or you're crazy and fucking insane. Because you can't just be like, oh, he's so unpredictable, he does whatever, he's a whatever.
Well, he's not supposed to be necessarily crazy. He's supposed to be like an extreme narcissist, like a super intelligent narcissist.
If he is an extreme narcissist, and this entire movie builds up this, and they even like beat you over the head with the like modern kind of social commentary. It's like the poor person has to suffer because the rich people have to fucking do horrible shit and be, with money or whatever.
Yeah.
He floods the city as punishment to the rich people.
Yeah.
The rich people in their penthouses and their large fucking buildings.
They're not at the base level.
They're not at the base level. They're not even like those slums that are like 20 feet tall. That's the first part. It makes no sense. Like, it's trying to be like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Secondly, there's a moment where Catwoman straight up says like, these white privileged motherfuckers. Which, like,
it's cringe.
You can if you really want to have a line like that, I think you should earn it personally.
Yeah,
you should,
which they don't.
But then they point to the actual like city officials, and I'm pretty sure like out of like the 5, only like 1 or 2 of them are even white. Like,
yeah.
So it's like
it's bad. It's an objective. I think personally. I think it's an objectively bad movie. I get that some people like it. I get that some people can turn their brain off and be like, yeah, I'll ignore the problems with the plot. I'll ignore the fact that Batman, who's supposed to be physically intimidating, Pattinson is not. In fact, he famously refused to work out for the role and almost got fired because he literally would not work out for the role as Batman. He's supposed to be super stealthy, ninja-like. He's not. He does everything up front. In fact, he literally knocks on the door at the Penguins Club instead of taking an alternative entrance or anything, or sneaking in, and just punches the guy in the face at the fucking entrance and starts fighting everybody in the club. Like, literally hits a dude with a bat. Like,
I would like to remind you of the introduction we got of Batman 1989. Remember that one where it's like there's 2 criminals talking about him, and then he holds one over. It's like, I want you to tell your friends about me. Who are you?
Yeah,
I'm the Batman. It's badass as fuck, but it shows like what his skill set is, how he operates. This guy, there's a dude being beaten up in a subway station, and Batman just kind of walks towards him, and I'm pretty sure they shoot him, right? Like,
a lot. Yeah.
And he's just like, Kevlar, baby, and they're like, oh shit, and they run away.
And then they copied the Dark Knight Rises scene where they have the light off and the guns are shooting him while he's in the dark, and it makes for, again, visually very cool scene. Doesn't make any sense.
Looks like Equilibrium.
Fucking stupid. His entire face is uncovered. Like, not a single round went to his chin. Like, not one.
Chances of probability.
Yeah. That's why Batman has to be stealthy, because if he gets shot in the face, he's fucked.
That's why I was making that joke about Have you ever seen Equilibrium?
Yeah.
He has the tetragrammaton, whatever, where he's like every angle where you can't get shot. I was like, I guess Batman's really fucking master that shit.
Yeah.
Because he can just walk through gunfire.
And again,
totally
I could
fine.
turn off small things like that. I've seen enough superhero movies and goofy action movies that I can turn my brain off to small things like that. But when it's all together, bad thematically, does not represent Batman. He's supposed to be the greatest detective of all time. Can't figure out an article, like a simple word in Spanish. He's not supposed to kill people. He kills a lot of people in this movie and is at least indirectly killing a lot of other people because he's just refusing to show any self-restraint. He's a spoiled asshole who his only family member who almost dies for him.
Andy Serkis as Alfred was such a weird fucking decision.
it was I honestly, other than the Colin Farrell's the only actor role in this movie that bothers me. And it's not because Colin Farrell did it badly. It's just because they spent all this money to hire Colin Farrell to look and act like another actor that already exists.
Oh yeah, and they put
they made him look like somebody who literally exists and is a proven established actor. So why didn't you just hire the proven established actor that already looks like that? That's the part that frustrates me. You know, it's the Harry Potter prequel movie issue where they hired Colin Farrell for fuck all who knows.
I guess my sentiment with this movie is, how the fuck do you like this more than Batman 1989 or Batman Begins or Dark Knight?
Nolan trilogy, anything.
Yeah, like
yeah.
People, there's issues with all of the Batman movies, like in terms of like, there's always issues, right? It's everyone has their own interpretation. Some people are comic purists, whatever. This movie wasn't really even like Batman. It was just every other superhero movie ever, with massive mischaracterization and just blunders in terms of writing and logic progression, attempt at showing growth.
And even like the pacing is so all over the place, like jumping from scene to scene. The pacing is terrible. Like the third act especially is just horrible. The third act is real bad. I don't understand how you can watch that movie and say that it is objectively good in any way. Because it fails on every front except for being visually impressive and acoustically fun. Like that's about it. Like even if you turn your brain off, it's like fuck. There's
want to talk
problems.
Acoustic. As music people said, you've been in bands. I'm in a band. I do music. The music score for this fucking movie is the first two notes of the fucking Avengers theme.
On repeat
and with
slow
the
down.
French, slow down on like halftime or whatever. French horn, just like
it gets old real quick.
And they play that so like the original Danny Elfman. That's his name, the guy who made the scores for all the Tim Burton movies. I think it's Danny Elfman.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. For
that
those.
like da 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 da. Like there's an orchestral like hook and like tension and build up. This shit where it's like you might as well hit two fucking piano keys on the low end of the fucking keyboard.
It's lazy. Yeah, I don't get again, we got to move on or else we'll be here all night. But
there's a second one. I guess that's the.
What's funny to me is that Joker deserved a sequel based on its quality and its success. The Batman, to me, was not deserving of a sequel, and yet the Batman 2 is probably going to be better than this Joker 2 Folia do because they're making it into a fucking musical. But who knows? I might be completely off base. Joker 2 might be just as good as the first, and they might do it in a way that makes sense. And the Batman 2 might be just as bad as the first one. Who knows? We'll see. Another product that spun off of that, they had the spin-off Penguin show that's based on the Batman, Matt Reeves' version of the Batman. That will still happen, so you can still look forward to that. Titans is continuing. They still have to end a few CW shows. The Sandman on Netflix, which is fantastic. I don't know if you've watched it.
No.
It's based on the incredible, like, award-winning Neil Gaiman, The Sandman comic. From it used to be Vertigo Comics, and now it got bought by DC, and now it's integrated into DC. But yeah, The Sandman is outstanding. Both the comic is great, and the show is great. I highly recommend you use whatever resources you need to read the comic series first if you can. But if you can't, I get it's a big project. Like it's going to take you some time to get through it. Because it really is just both an artistic and a writing tour de force. It's just like the peak of like comic book creativity, in my opinion. But the show represents it really well and does a really great job. There's aspects of the show where they change characters and change like certain outcomes of the dialogue, but overall they were really loyal, and Netflix did an outstanding job with it. They couldn't have picked a better actor for the Sandman himself. He is so picture perfect. Like if you were to cut a person out of marble to represent that comic book character, you couldn't have done a better job. It's outstanding. Highly recommend that show on Netflix. And yes, we are still getting the Sandman season 2. A lot of people were worried after this Discovery takeover Warner Brothers and all their products and HBO Max that they were going to say, no, we're killing this and you're never going to see it again. Thankfully, we're getting a season 2, which is awesome because they haven't even gotten into like the best parts of the Sandman universe. So highly, highly anticipated product for me. Another highly anticipated product in this DC Elseworlds group is Peacemaker Season 2. They did confirm that is happening. It is being created by James Gunn, just like the first season. However, he won't be creating the Waller project. This will actually be handled by the Doom Patrol writers, which is another great HBO Max series. It's not, I wouldn't put it in the same category in terms of quality, but it has Brendan Fraser in it, which we love, and it's fun. It's just dumb fun. Like that's what Doom Patrol is. It's dumb, over the top fun. It's crude. It's zany, crude, like over the top nonsense fun. Okay. It's so another thing to recommend if you have time, but I wouldn't prioritize it over Peacemaker or Sandman or the Suicide Squad.
I think maybe that's the other issue too, is like you saw how angry we both got over Batman, and I think a bigger part of it too kind of extends to because Batman tried to not, it didn't want to be a fun action movie. It wanted to be a deep, preachy,
it wanted to be taken seriously. Yeah.
And that's why you get angry at that kind of shit. Because you watch that and like, I'm one of those people, I hate feeling like I'm being preached to. I hate movies that try to sit me down and talk to me like I'm in school, be like, no, listen, you don't get it. And because then that puts you in kind of this defensive position where like, okay, what do you got? And when you got shallow nonsense, but again, if you're having a fun movie that's there, you're there to have fun. You're there. You don't care. It's like fucking like
Sandman. Sandman.
I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss movies.
Everything you're describing of what you want out of a product, it's in Sandman.
Well, I just want a movie that doesn't make me feel like shit. And if it makes me feel like shit, for good fucking reason, like Joker. That movie makes me fucking depressed, but I love it because it earns that dread. And
absolutely.
Anyway,
as I said, Doom Patrol will be continuing. I think they might have I can't remember. They might have announced their last season, but I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet. Waller is going to be kind of a filler series that takes place in between Peacemaker Season 1 and Peacemaker Season 2. Again, hilarious. Watch the Suicide Squad, the second movie, which was done by James Gunn, and then go watch Season 1 of Peacemaker. It's fucking hilarious. Like, it's better than the movie was, and the movie was great. Waller's supposed to fill in some time in between Season 1 and Season 2 and kind of bridge the gap. It will still star Viola Davis from the Suicide Squad movies. And then they also announced a new project, Creature Commandos, which will be an animated series written by James Gunn, voiced by the live-action equivalent actors. So a lot of people from Suicide Squad and other properties of the current DCEU, they will be returning to voice their characters in these animated series. And this is where I will give DC and Warner Brothers a ton of credit. Their animated products are outstanding, including, if you haven't watched, the comedy series Harley Quinn on HBO Max, which is an adult-oriented...
It's the cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen parts of it.
It's hilarious.
It looks like something I would enjoy.
It's awesome.
I haven't
it's great.
had time for it, but
so and they make a bunch of movies every year. They come out with movies that are based on comic series, and I would, a lot of cases the comic series is better, but for what you can do with an animated project in an hour and 45 minutes, like, they do an outstanding job. I think Marvel is terrible at animated stuff. They really don't handle their animated projects very well, in my opinion. But I think that's where DC and Warner Brothers actually does better than Disney and Marvel in coordinating their products. I think their animated stuff is outstanding. So that's all we know about the current DC Elseworld stuff. And so it obviously gives a platform for these things to continue, so fans can see these things finished and finalized and don't have to worry about them dropping off the face of the earth like some other projects. The second part of the DCU, the new DCU, will be called Phase 1 Gods and Monsters. It consists of an 8 to 10 year plan. It's still not complete yet, but these are the things that James Gunn is excited about and actively working on while they flesh out the second end of this phase. So it will officially begin with a new Superman movie called Superman Legacy. It will be arriving in July of 2025. And will be based loosely on All-Star Superman, which is an outstanding, critically acclaimed story about Superman, and kind of takes a more grounded approach to it. has this really like classic iconic cover where it's got Superman kind of like sitting on the edge of a cliff with like his knees up, like just kind of enjoying the view and like looking back at the person viewing the comic. So great run and a great thing to base it on. I really like this. It's something new. It's something that people probably aren't ready for because of their classic, Chris Reeves version of Superman, and then the recent Henry Cavill, which is the more darker, like pretentious kind of take on Superman. This is something entirely different, and I'm excited for it. In addition to that, the next movie for Batman will be Batman the Brave and the Bold, which will be based on the Grant Morrison run of Batman and Robin. Well, it's actually technically it's Batman, but it's about Batman and Damian Wayne, which is his son that was conceived with Talia al Ghul and was raised in secret with the League of Assassins.
I knew nothing about this. So.
Yeah, so Damian's like this obnoxious, over-the-top asshole who has the skills to back it up because he was raised in the League of Assassins with Talia and Ra's al Ghul. And basically the story consists of kind of a heartwarming like character development for both Batman and Damian, because at this point Batman's already established. He's already had his sidekicks. He's lost one of his sidekicks, tragically. Like, he's not looking for another Robin to have like take care of. And then he gets into this whole situation and he discovers I have a son, like a biological son that Talia al Ghul has been raising and like teaching to murder people for a living.
Is this like Indiana Jones 4 where he finds out that
not that bad. But I will say a lot of people fucking hated Damian as a character when he first arrived
in the comics.
Yeah, because they intentionally make him just a piece of shit, and he wants to murder people. Like, he's totally down for murdering people, and like Batman kind of like has to take him under his wing and like kind of like, for lack of a better word, parent him in a way he's never been parented. But also like you have this like super soldier elite teenager that wants to murder people. Like his first thought is to kill this guy so he can't do this shit again. And they're like trading ideas and fighting each other ideologically because Batman's so like strict about his do not kill, do not use guns rule. And meanwhile, he's got this little assassin that has literally killed people that wants to murder every criminal they go up against,
and that's his son.
And his son is making very good valid points like, why aren't we killing this guy? He's a mass murderer. Every time we don't kill this guy, he breaks out of the asylum or breaks out of the prison and kills more people. If we just kill him now, we don't have to worry about it. And Batman has to like philosophically address that with not only himself but with his son, his biological. It's not like he can just ignore his son, because his son's gotta be there. It's his son. He's a teenage kid, like, who has to be like nurtured and taught, and it's really good.
Is it like
it's done really well?
Do like kind of like Raiden from Metal Gear, where it's like he's been raised to kill from such a young age that it's this like conflict.
Yeah,
of,
a little bit, but without like the Japanese over the top corniness, the Kojima-esque-ness of it. But yeah, this is a great again, this is all going to depend on execution. If they don't execute it well, it doesn't matter.
I just find it weird that it's a 5 to 10 year plan. Like
8 to 10, yeah.
8 to yeah, that's a long.
They're copying basically the first phase of Marvel. They're trying to set up like a proper established universe. I love that they're already writing all this stuff together.
Okay,
so like
all of these projects are in progress currently.
The big problem with the Snyderverse is that they weren't writing these things together. They were just like deciding to do whatever they wanted with each individual film and assigning whoever individual director, actors, etc., and just like trying to do everything they possibly could in one movie because they didn't know if they would get another one,
Right.
So
here they have
this is a proper plan, which I love.
It's almost like a movie TV show.
Yep. The next item he talked about was Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, based on the comic of the same name, which is going to be more of a sci-fi epic tragedy movie. For those unfamiliar with that comic run, basically it talks about Supergirl's origin. With Superman Kal-El, he was shipped off as a baby. and it had no knowledge of his, basically his parentage, and until his parents showed him where the ship was, and he found this and that, and eventually, it gets corny, but eventually he establishes his, his palace or whatever in Antarctica and all this other stuff. And he learns about his people as time goes on, and he has to like figure out who he is. Is he the human that was raised by Ma and Pa Kent, or is he, this crazy alien that has these Kryptonian values and beliefs and etc. This comic really focuses on Supergirl as the older teenager / adult who was there when her entire civilization was destroyed, and had to witness it, and was trapped on basically this pseudo life vessel in space, like in basically a small chunk of Krypton in her Krypton society, all by herself, dwelling, thinking about all of the trauma she had experienced. And then it becomes this greater space story that eventually ends with her finding Earth and her cousin Kal-El. So it's the artwork in this comic is really great, so I would love it if they like adapted some of the artwork from this into like a visual medium for this movie. So again, really different direction. Nobody's seen this version of Supergirl before.
Okay.
I love what James Gunn is doing. I really genuinely do, as a comic book fan. And I think even the casuals that don't know about this stuff are going to see this stuff, be surprised, maybe be a little shocked, but I think they're going to ultimately really like it and respect it. So we'll see. Again, it's all going to come down to execution. And next on the slate that he was talking about, he also discussed a Lanterns TV show, which will be an HBO Max exclusive TV show starring focusing rather on the first and second Lantern, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Most people that watch like the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon series will be familiar with Jon Stewart. It will be a somewhat grounded space cop detective story based around Earth's sector. So you'll probably see a lot of focus on Earth-based characters and a lot of Earth-based DC Comics cameos, I would imagine. They did say there were other Lanterns would make an appearance, so you'll probably get to see Guy Gardner or Kyle Rayner, some of the other famous Lanterns, Jessica Cruz, etc. But the focus will be on Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart specifically, which is great if you're trying to start a new DC universe. So definitely looking forward to that. Next up, they announced a Paradise Lost TV series, which will be a Wonder Woman prequel show focusing on Themyscira, which is the world she comes from. Basically the origin of Themyscira, the warfare that went on, the kind of crown politics that went on with the island. And James Gunn described it as kind of a Game of Thrones-esque story. So expect a lot of R-rated probable content on an island focusing on basically Olympic goddesses and potentially the creation of Wonder Woman. Another project that was announced is The Authority, which will be a movie based on the Wildstorm characters, which I fucking love. I love Wildstorm. It was something created at Image Comics and eventually got integrated into DC Comics very recently, became part of the DC Comics universe proper, whereas before they were just kind of their own things on the DC label. But yeah, this is awesome. I love everything about the Wildstorm comics. They're much more of a, like R-rated, edgier version of a comic book, superhero sabotage type of world. Not quite as like
not Frank Miller levels.
Not quite. No, not Frank Miller level. It's probably beyond Frank Miller. Honestly, it's kind of like The Boys, but without like the comedy edge. It's much more serious. There are serious consequences to things that happen, kind of like Invincible, but without like the funny teenage aspect that Invincible has. So definitely looking forward to that. I think that's probably kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy was for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's going to be one of those things that most people have no idea what this fucking thing is, and when they get in, they're going to be like, oh, this is really good. This is now one of my favorite things out of DC. So fingers crossed. Again, execution is key, but I think this could be a big hit if they can obviously produce it well and then promote it well. The next thing he discussed was a Swamp Thing TV series, most likely, although I don't remember him saying specifically it's a TV series, but everybody's interpreting his presentation as a TV series. It's going to be kind of a more dark, monster movie-esque type thing that's based on Alan Moore's interpretation, which is probably the most iconic interpretation of the character. It sounds goofy. Even the concept of Swamp Thing is some just like creature. But there's a lot of cool things that were done with it. And actually New 52, which was like one of the reboots of the DC Comics proper, had a really great interpretation of Swamp Thing as well. So there's a lot of good material, and this could be another big hit. A lot of people like the Swamp Thing TV show they produced originally several years ago, and it got canceled just because it was apparently too expensive to keep producing for HBO. But apparently that was very popular as well. Next up, he talked about a Booster Gold HBO Max TV series. Booster Gold's kind of like the fan favorite kind of comedy character. He's this kind of a douchebag from the future, and he wants to be admired and respected, so he takes his future technology, goes to the past where his technology is like amazing and nobody has anything like it, and uses it to basically make himself a superhero in our time, in the present. And it's just goofy and over the top, and like throughout the comics, generally speaking, the theme is that he's like this goofy dumbass that came from the future with his, what was modern tech for him is now like incredible technology today, and uses it to exploit like the populace and make him seem like this great, heroic figure. But then he just falls on his face over and over and over again. But at the heart of it, like through all his efforts, he ends up becoming the hero like he wanted people to think he was, that he thought he was tricking people he was creating. So there's like kind of a wholesome heart to the Booster Gold character.
So it's like an unremarkable person for their time, but in the time that he travels to with his tech, he's remarkable just by...
Yeah, he's just a dumbass from the future with some cool technology from the future.
Who grows and...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love Booster Gold. I love everything he's in. There was a New 52 run of Justice League International that featured him as like one of the primary focuses for the story. I loved it. It had him and Guy Gardner, who's like the obnoxious, like literally redheaded, hot-headed dude that's like always trying to fight everybody and thinks he's like the best Lantern and should always be the leader. And of course, like he never is. He always gets his butt kicked. It was a great setup for a great comic, but they can do a lot of things with that. Next up, they talked about a Gotham Knights TV series. This appears not to be like the Gotham Knights video game that came out recently, where it's focused on like all the former Robins and Batgirl. No, this is Gotham Knights based on the comic book series that's about basically the Gotham PD. So apparently, again, none of this stuff is 100% confirmed, but that seems to be the direction they're going. So that should be really cool, really interesting to have a focus on just... I mean, we already had a few shows like that. Gotham, for example, is basically just about the corruption, like a Batman prequel about all the corruption in the police force and all the criminals and how they rose up, and how Penguin rose through the ranks and took over the city slowly, all these things. And then there's a small... I didn't see this in the presentations, but I've seen it in several public articles about the reporting on this. Dead Boy Detectives, which is based on a comic book, will be getting a TV series. I'm not really familiar with this property, and I kept reading about it on the articles, so apparently it's coming. But I personally, as much of a nerd as I am, I don't know much about that. But I'm sure it's going to be good if James Gunn has anything to do with it.
That's a hell of a diverse roadmap for DC.
Yeah, it's not what you would think, right? Like most people would think, oh, you're gonna do Batman, then you're gonna do Batman, Superman, then you're gonna do Wonder Woman, and then you're gonna do a Justice League movie, and then you're gonna introduce the Flash, and then you're gonna do Green Lantern, and then Martian Manhunter, and then Aquaman.
No,
then you're gonna make Justice League 2. No,
there's something for everyone, and it's not all just like dark, because you think a lot of people I did for a while as a kid, especially. I was like, Marvel is more like cape, funny and,
Yeah.
Marvel's more kid friendly. DC is more mature and dark and fucking. So I was like, DC's way better.
Yeah.
But I think this sounds like there's something for everyone, and there's a lot of more obscure things that I think, as someone who did not follow a lot of these comics growing up, I think hearing more about these types of stories, I think this is the kind of diversity that would be really awesome in this kind of universe. And even if you're not watching every single one, because there's so many and they're TV shows, movies, right?
Yeah.
I think you have a framework for a lot of people to kind of get on the train and maybe slowly start actually exploring some of these stories and being aware of them in a modern setting.
Yeah.
In a modern, movies that are with the modern effects and the capabilities and technology. I think that's great. I think this is...
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm personally, as a comic book fan of a lot of the stuff this is going to be based on, I am incredibly excited for this. I think, even if it's not as good as I hope, I think that the diversity, as you were saying, and the things it's drawing its source material from are unique and are going to offer something really cool and a new interpretation and take on things, where as opposed to something that's just traditional, we're going to get another copy and paste version of this character. They're going to be hokey, Superman's going to be corny and the stereotypical American dream, and
I think that's what Marvel kind of ran into, right? Because a lot of their superheroes, like, they're different, but they're kind of similar enough to where maybe their contrast when paired with each other on screen is interesting, but you don't need 5 movies per character explaining their backstory and personal struggle. Here, there's enough, I think, to...
Yeah. And it's kind of nice that they're not beating us over the head with everybody's origin story. Oh, yeah. It seems like they're only doing that for a very small handful of characters, it seems.
Well, for those that seem to make sense or that are more obscure, that you would actually be kind of interested in it. So.
Yeah. So that's another thing that's really cool and exciting. Everybody knows who Superman is. Everybody knows who Batman is. You don't have to explain it again if you don't want to.
What's Krypton?
Yeah. We'll probably still watch it either way, but you don't have to. Next up on the news, Avatar: The Way of Water has officially become the 6th movie to pass $2 billion worldwide. What do you think about Avatar? I agree.
This is going to be... Actually...
Oh, he needs the booze up for this one.
I was actually talking to my boss about this last night, literally, which is hilarious to me. I haven't seen Avatar 2 yet. My girlfriend really wants to. I feel like I have to, just because regardless if it's dog shit or not, it's kind of a landmark title. Yeah. Which sucks because I don't want to give them more money. But
I mean, they've already made all the money they need. Yeah. So you don't have to feel bad about it at this point.
I just want to say this about Avatar. 2008, maybe the CGI was really cool. It did look really cool. The effects, whatever. If the point of the movie is visual effects, then it succeeded. But that's not all a movie is. The storyline for the original Avatar is Dances with Wolves, Pocahontas. Yeah. That joke has been made so many times, I don't even want to phrase it as a joke. Mm-hmm. So, but again, Avatar, the first one, was 2008. That is 15 years ago. It's a long fucking time to make a sequel to a fairly average movie in terms of plot.
Yeah. I'm actually amazed that this movie is making as much as it is this long after the first one, and with basically, from what everybody's telling me, a rehash of the original story, but with water versions.
Well, what I was told by everyone who's seen it so far, and I am more than likely going to go see it with my girlfriend because I kind of have to. But I'm going to try and be fair to it. But from what I heard, this is the conversation I was having with my boss the other night. It is a rehash of the first one to an extent, and mostly set up for a third movie.
Yeah, and apparently...
and it's also 3 hours long.
I don't know if you've kept up with the kind of the descriptions of the plans for this movie series and going forward. So James Cameron, and I love James Cameron. He's given us a ton of great movies.
James Cameron.
My favorite movie of all time is Terminator 2, and he made that movie.
You don't have a beer, I would.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite movie of all time too.
Which
so,
we're talking about all this stuff about pretentious themes and stuff, but like it's dumb fun, and I recognize that, but it's still my favorite movie of all time.
Terminator 2 tackled a lot of the themes. It did so well that like
it did better than the original, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, like I like Terminator 1 and 2 almost equally. Kind of like I like Alien and Aliens, but I like T2 a bit more than Terminator 1.
I like Aliens too.
Like I like
better than the first
Aliens.
two.
Yeah, I like Aliens as well a bit.
I like The Dark Knight better than Batman Begins. Like
there's a lot of that.
I think I'm just a sequel whore.
Well, that's what a sequel should be: bigger, badder, better, bigger, badasser, better, and
refine the idea.
Here's my thing, and this is the thing I think Spielberg went through. I think this is what James Cameron went through ever since fucking Titanic, which I know some of you people like it. It's really long and slow. But
at least you don't have the VHS anymore. Did you have the VHS?
Yes, with the 2 fucking tapes, and you're like...
They have like a literal intermission in the VHS tapes.
Yeah, it's like something out of like the fucking 40s, where it's like, all right, guys, go take a break. This is too long. We realize it. No, here's the thing about... I think a lot of these directors that start off... Because James Cameron made the original Terminator, the first one from 1984, while like eating burgers from that burger joint in the Terminator 2 that Sarah Connor works at. Yeah. Is a real, like, that's actually what he went to, a burger joint in between filming and ate, like, he would buy 2 burgers, eat one, the next day he would eat the other. Like, that's the level of dedication he had, like, just to illustrate. Like,
that's cool. I didn't know that.
He was that whole movie was his, like, and it was a very kind of, like, I don't want to say juvenile, but a very, like, simple love story, right? Where it's like 2 people caught in this conflict of time and whatever. Mm-hmm. That's how he started. Flash forward in 1997, he's making fucking Titanic. Flash forward 2000, it's like, oh, I gotta wait until technology catches up. It's like a George Lucas almost. These people start off, I think, with really amazing intentions, really awesome stories, really like stuff that they've been working on. They want to prove themselves. Look, I have something unique and nuanced and profound to share with the world. And then they kind of get caught in that weird age, I guess, where they start to have kids. They start to feel like they're dads, and they're a bit older, and they're less... I don't know if ambitious is the right word. They're a lot more, I want to put out something that's a lot more feel good, if that makes sense. Like they want a sentiment that isn't some like crazy intense commentary on the world or their perception of a theme. They want to make something that's a very like family nice feel good movie that like you sit and you're like lean back and you're like, yeah, the world is interesting, isn't it? And I'm noticing a trend where a lot of these older directors who started with these amazing movies doing that. And I think that Avatar, from the first movie and what this seems to be, is this weird, like, happy-go... I don't know. Is it does it feel like a happy-go-lucky story about, kinda, like... Look at...
Sorta.
Guys, like, it's like, guys, nature... We shouldn't be mean to nature. Guys, come on.
Yeah.
And that's 3 hours.
There's a series on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us. I've seen. Have you seen the Aliens one?
No. I know of it. I haven't.
So apparently, James Cameron did not make Alien.
That was Ridley Scott.
He came in and made the second one though, Aliens. Apparently, his pitch for the movie. Boy, you're struggling with that foam, aren't you? Damn.
Were you standing there shaking them earlier?
I don't know. I don't know, man. But he apparently went in to pitch the movie. He wrote Alien on the board and then wrote an S and made it into a $sign. That was his pitch for the movie, Aliens.
I mean,
and then he made an awesome movie.
Listen,
that nobody expected.
Aliens is a movie that, first of all, it's a commentary on the is it the Vietnam War or the Korean War? I always forget. It's kind of
probably
Vietnam War. Sorry, it was brain fart. It's a commentary on that. It's supposed to be a parallel, right? Where they go in and they're like, "We're gun ho, like, yeah, we're coming in with our badass, with our sticks. We got fucking
Space Marines,
pulse rifles. We got badass ass kicker, whatever." And then they get fucked over because the environment is completely is foreign to them.
Yeah.
No, Aliens is a great movie, both from a thematic standpoint and as a fun movie to watch that you enjoy while watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I wish they would make more of. But again, going back to Avatar. My question for this movie, and is going to be watching the second and maybe the third, and however many they're making, like 5 now.
Well, they've already filmed everything for the first 4. We just got the second one. The success of the second one was going to dictate whether we got a 5 and a 6. So now we're getting a 5 and a 6. So according to interviews with James Cameron himself, he has stated that the first one was obviously about the forest people. The second one was apparently about the water people. The third one is going to be about the fire people, kind of an evil Na'vi. And all of these movies are going to have the same villain. And then we're going to have a fourth movie that's apparently more, quote unquote, grounded. So you're going to have the Earth people.
Is the fifth movie going to be Lilu Dallas Multipass?
Yeah, we'll find out. And apparently all 4 of the first movies are going to have the same villain. There's not
people just like, look at people being mean to the earth. Look at people being mean to the fire.
I'm sorry, but there's not enough content there to string out for 4 movies. And then apparently they're going to get creative with the 5th and 6th movies.
Maybe he should watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
He's teased that like things are going to get wild and go in a direction nobody expects for the 5th and 6th. But basically 1 through 4 is like completely formulaic, and they've already filmed everything. They just got to actually create the digital parts of it and render it. So,
which is most of the work, right?
The good news about that is that, well, at least the Avatar fans won't have to wait 15 years for the next one, probably. But that being said,
maybe it'd be better if they were every 15
I don't know. I don't know if we need them to begin with, and I wish James Cameron could be working on something else. But now, because of the success, he's going to be making Avatar movies for the next 30 years, probably. But I think that's a good place to
for
end.
you.
I don't know.
For you fans of Avatar, please write in the comments, what does Avatar do that's interesting to you or unique? Because I would like to hear a perspective of someone who genuinely thinks it is a groundbreaking, interesting story, commentary, whatever the fuck, right? Like, I don't understand the point of these movies besides the technological. It's like a tech demo. It's like Final Fantasy VII on the PS3.
Yeah,
I
mean, there was what was essentially a tech demo Final Fantasy movie. I think it was called Advent Children, or was that the Final Fantasy VII one?
I like Advent Children. So.
That's the Final Fantasy VII one.
Yes.
What's the
Spirits Within?
Spirits Within. Thank you. When that came out, that was like a technological marvel, and everybody's like, "Wow, look at this!" And then they saw the movie and like, "This is terrible.
It's gorgeous."
And
not anymore because it's 2001.
Yeah, it did not age well.
Spirits Within is not. I think it's okay.
It's bad.
I have a soft spot for shit like that.
I love Final Fantasy. That's a bad movie. I'm sorry.
You don't like the live stream energy taking back the planet from the evil industrialization.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
I guess that's what happens.
I agree that Advent Children is fun. It's dumb fun, but it's fun. Final Fantasy, in case you didn't know, Final Fantasy VII, the OG, is my favorite game of all time, and I literally play it every year.
Get a beer. I gotta keep.
Yeah, I play it every single year, at least once, all the way through. And I love Final Fantasy VII.
What'd you think of the remake? Actually, do we have a game section coming up?
So remember, I told you I start games and then I don't finish them because I get end game anxiety or I get busy and then I forget how to play it and then I don't want to. I want to remember everything, so I want to restart it from the beginning. I did that with Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I got to the slums, like the where the bumblebee and everything is. Mm-hmm. And then I got busy with some life stuff. I think that's right around when Cindy got pregnant and everything. So I just never got back to it. And then they announced that they were doing a PS5 upgrade, and that would be free.
Oh, yeah, the Intergrade version.
Yeah, and then they added the Intergrade DLC and all that stuff. So I was like, I'll just hold out. And now it's all out, and it's actually free on the PlayStation Plus stuff. So now I just got to get around to downloading it and playing it. So I'll probably do that after I finish The Witcher 3. Which is my next thing to finish. I'm pretty much at the end of Witcher 3, thankfully. But
okay, are you gonna do the?
I just gotta go over the edge.
The DLC for it, the Blood and Wine, and the what's the other thing?
I need to finish the main game and then do the Blood and Wine expansion. I think the other one was just the Gwent expansion.
Okay,
right.
I know there were two. I didn't know how extensive the other one was.
Yeah, and I've pretty much already done all the Gwent stuff, so I'm not worried about that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. That wraps up all of our movie news. This next section, of course, it will be tagged in the comments, is the video game section. So we got a new Nintendo Direct recently. They announced that the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance collections will be joining the Nintendo Online ecosystem, so you'll be able to play those on your Nintendo Switch very soon. They announced a new Professor Layton game and teased it. They have not released the full title, and it has no release window yet, but that will be coming to the Switch in the probably the near future. We got more looks at Breath of the Wild 2, aka Tears of the Kingdom. The game they announced will be priced at $70, which is an increase from the normal Switch games.
I want to say something about price increases because a lot of people have issues with games costing more, especially with digital, I think, right? Because digital is like, you remember?
Yeah, there's no production.
Yeah, so you would assume that a game that's $60 at Walmart for a box, they don't even do manuals anymore, which I think is a shame.
Yeah,
but
manuals are great.
Yeah,
it's toilet material. You sit on the toilet and you read the manual.
That's
what I did.
That's what I still like doing. I still read all the it's called what's the term? Color art or
art books.
All the cool shit, the flavor text, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have issues with games being a little bit more in price. I think that we should obviously expect our games to be good, but two, I think that given how games have always been $60 since like 1980s.
Well, that's not. I remember buying like Sega Genesis games, and they were like $80 back then. Like literally. So with inflation,
within
like
200, 100,
it probably,
a lot.
Probably would have been like $120 today.
I think that. I do think especially for something like Nintendo kind of price gouges because they limit production quantities, but
they also make everything on their proprietary cartridges.
Yeah,
which is another part of the problem.
I think at least they try to innovate, I guess. But my point is for people who are upset about prices for video games, just because everything is like on Steam really cheap. I understand that. I love Steam. You can get really good games for really cheap on there and get crazy sales.
Yeah.
But for new games, and this is where you have to be picky. Maybe don't buy every game that comes out because that's what you're running into, right? It's like, it has all these new games. Like, pick the ones you want to support. And if you put the $70 down for it, don't pre-order unless you're confident. In fact, pre-ordering in general is not a very good practice. But try to be reasonable with the fact that games costing $70 games are the one thing that has not scaled with inflation. Like in general, obviously, like collector's items and people that they want to own like Fatal Frame or Haunting Ground. It's a lot of money, but be reasonable with like the fact that if games go up in price a bit, that is a very small change over a long period of time.
I mean, to your point, I honestly don't know how video game companies, other than like the exploitative like gambling ones that keep getting lawsuits filed against them, like Fortnite, like Roblox, that's another one. Outside of those games that are just straight up predatory, I don't
fuck those games. Don't support those games.
I don't understand how a lot of these companies make money because their game is free on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, if not both. They're getting sold on sales for like $4 on Steam, after like 3 months or 4 months, whatever, especially if they didn't perform well initially. Like, nobody is buying games at full price hardly anymore. And if they are, they're probably, regretting it soon after, or they're just privately wealthy, which is not a lot of.
This is where vote with your wallet goes both ways. If you don't want to support something, don't buy it, and don't buy it like out of your friends' peer pressure. You stand your ground. You want a good product. But also, if you see, like, this is a big thing with anime, especially when they release like Blu-ray box that's over here, or like games in general, they get localized in Japan, they localize them here, that are rare occurrences because that costs them a lot of money and time to do, to like get the English localization, the voice acting. If you want your games, pick the games you want to succeed and vote with your wallet by actually buying them and showing them, hey, I like this, I support this, please do more of this, because that seems to be one of the only ways to get a lot of this. So I just want to add that sentiment that if you really like your Zelda, Zelda will be fine. Zelda's different, I guess. But like, I know it's a point of contention, the price, and just keep in mind and maybe be a bit more picky what you buy and support what you love.
Yeah, absolutely. So. That's a great principle to live by in general. We talk about support your local comic book shops all the time. Support the comic books you like, the artists you like, the writers you like. The same is true for video games, movies, television, all of it. So support your creators. If that means buying something at full price and you're capable of doing so without, putting yourself in financial straits, do so. Absolutely do so. You won't
but save it for what you genuinely like.
You won't regret it, and assuming you like it as much as you think you will, hold on to it, because you'll probably enjoy it in the future as well. And then the final thing of note that came out, Nintendo Switch has passed the PS4 and the Game Boy to become the third best-selling console of all time now. They're behind only the Nintendo DS at number one. That was number 2, and the PlayStation 2, which is the number 1 selling console of all time. Those two are really close. I think they're both right around. I think Nintendo DS is like 154 million consoles sold, and PlayStation 2 is 155 consoles sold. 155 million, I should say, which is insane because one is like a little tiny handheld device that you would expect like kids dropped or lost or smashed and just kept buying new ones. PS2, meanwhile, sold more than that by a lot. And to give you perspective, I think the number of Switches at right now is like 124 million consoles sold, and it's pretty far in its lifetime, so it's probably not going to catch PlayStation 2 or Nintendo DS, which is insane. They would have to sell, basically 30,000 or 30 million more consoles to get to that point.
I think the Switch, again, this is my opinion. I've heard differing opinions that I understand but don't entirely agree with. I think the Switch was, not anymore because you have the Steam Deck now, and this is where I'm very curious how the Steam Deck is going to compete with this, because the Steam Deck is a much more versatile and less original what's the OEM, you can put whatever the hell you want on it. You can emulate, you can play games on it. The Steam Deck might, I think, become the best-selling console, just given the fact that it's both mobile and you can plug it into your TV, you can whatever. Yeah. The idea of playing AAA games on the fly, on the go, in your hand, or plugging it into a big-ass screen and having fun with it with a controller, that versatility, I think, was the most interesting and innovative aspect of modern gaming. Because PS5 and Xbox, Series X, I understand that better graphics is cool. I understand your controller making sounds or vibrating at certain frequencies is cool. But I'm sorry, but the Switch is fucking awesome. I can play a 3D Zelda game that's modern while sitting on the toilet. Come on,
you could do that with mods on the Steam Deck and with a PlayStation Vita.
Now the PS Vita, I think the PS Vita was an attempt at that. Or the PS,
you do play the old Zelda games with your PSP with some modifications.
The PSP was everyone loved the PSP then because you could do so much with it.
That's what I was gonna get to. I have a lot of experience with the Switch because I bought my wife one several years ago. She loves to play Animal Crossing and what's the other one that's similar to that? The Japanese game, Harvest Moon, is that what
Harvest Moon.
She loves those games as well, and then we also have like the party games for when we have company over, Mario Kart, Smash, the typical stuff. And I got her Breath of the Wild. She hasn't really touched it at all, but I've played it, and I get why people love it, but to me it's not what I want out of Zelda personally. And I'm a huge Zelda fanboy from OG Nintendo all the way up through basically Twilight Princess is probably the last one I really, really enjoyed. My issue with the Switch has always been that it's too much of the middle ground. It's not really good at either things that I want out of it. Like, if I want to sit down and play on my television, I'd rather play my PS5 or my PS4, or, if I had an Xbox, I'd rather play the Xbox, or if I had a high-end PC, I'd want to play on the PC. I don't want to sit down and play my Switch on my TV, but the only thing that keeps it in the game is that it has the party games, like exclusives, Zelda, Mario Party, Mario Kart, or Smash Brothers, sorry. That's the fact that it just has those exclusive titles is the only thing that keeps it in play on the television. and I really don't want to play it half the time because I don't think their controllers are very good. Even we have a pro controller, and the controller's terrible in my opinion. I don't like that the button schemes don't match anybody else's button schemes. So like everything's
in the air backwards.
Everything's backwards, and that's like
yeah.
you have to unlearn that. Even though Xbox and PlayStation, PC all do the do the same thing with their controllers. I don't like that it's not particularly easy or convenient as a handheld system. I think it's too big, it's too heavy. You can't put it in your pocket, you know? Like they have the smaller ones that are exclusively for, you know, travel purposes. You can't, which are a little closer, but I thought the DS was way better as a handheld device. I thought the PSP was a better handheld device. The Vita, as much as people, you know, gave it a lot of shit, I thought that was a better handheld device. I just don't think it does either one very well. And I get some people argue that, like, well, you have a handheld device, it's called your phone. But the phone it's not the same. It doesn't have the tactile controls. It doesn't, you know, the games are generally shittier and perform worse. They're more predatory. You know, there a lot of them are free to play games that just harass you constantly or make the game so difficult that you can't win it without paying money. Yeah, I would rather just buy a $10 game, $20 game and play it on a portable device with tactile controls and be able to put it in my pocket and, you know, play it on the bus, on the subway, play it at home when I'm rocking the baby. And I think the Switch is just too big, bulky. It's too bright, you know, for just a casual, laid back, anywhere, you know.
Too high profile.
Yeah.
For
battery doesn't last very long. Like, it just, I have a lot of problems with it as a mobile device. So it's not particularly great as a handheld device, and it's not particularly great as a plug-in TV device. It's kind of backwards in both regards, but it's this weird middle ground where it does both. So if you want a game console that kind of does both, it's great, and a lot of people love it. I understand I'm totally in the minority on this subject. I know a lot of people love their Switches, but for me, I would rather have a dedicated handheld device that is made to fit in my pocket, that I can take anywhere and use as I wish, and has a longer lasting battery. I don't have to worry about it like getting super hot and overheating. Even the Steam Deck, like Steam Deck's kind of big and bulky. Like I do think it's probably going to be a Switch killer eventually if Nintendo doesn't do something innovative in this next phase. But I don't particularly like the Steam Deck either because it has the same problems. It's big, it's heavy, it's bulky, it's too bright, battery doesn't last too long, it gets hot and overheats. And if I want to play Steam games on my TV, I'll just plug in a computer tower and get much better performance and have a lot more games to access, you know?
I think you bring up a lot of really good points in terms of I like the Switch, but I completely understand and agree that there are limitations in terms of, like, it's a bit more bulky than you would want. Mm-hmm. It's not as, I think the biggest issue is it's not as powerful as you would want, right? Because it has to be low profile. You can't fit a lot of powerful components in there and then the heating and the ventilation and cooling, whatever. Yeah. And this is where the Steam Deck, I think the reason I appreciate what it does, and I recognize its shortcomings given what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. I think that's a very valid point in terms of form factor for mobility, performance for, you know, more mobile, plugging it into a giant ass TV. I think that there's a lot of trade-offs it has to do to kind of be a jack of all trades and not a master of either in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will say that I guess the reason why the Switch is so appealing is because it is the one actual hardware on the market, and this is going to maybe piss a lot of people off, that is actually trying to do something new and interesting as opposed to what PlayStation and Sony, which we've been doing for a long time, which is bigger, crazier, more realistic graphics. Yeah. Because I don't, as a gamer, someone who can play, you just said Final Fantasy VII is your favorite game. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy VII graphics are not that good. Yeah. Maybe for the time they were mind-blowing, I think, right?
And then Final Fantasy VIII came out, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. Like, Final Fantasy polygons look like shit.
Right?
Dog shit.
Even the PS1, Legend of Dragoons, another
Yeah.
Chrono Cross, like all those JRPGs, like they kept pushing the envelope for visual effects and
Final
animation.
Fantasy 9 was like end stage PlayStation.
Yeah.
Looks heads and shoulders better than Final Fantasy 8 or Final Fantasy 7.
Well, because 8 was too person-y, 7 was too abstract, 9 was like that perfect like fantasy artistic style consistent.
Yeah.
Here's my point. I understand that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have interesting, like cool as hell architecture that is very innovative. They have solid state drives that have never been made before for fast performance. They have graphics processors that are it's like the PS3 with its processor where they were using it for military shit because of how intricate
cell processors,
Yeah. Here's my problem. I don't think that the next big step for gaming is more polygons, more realism, and continuously bigger maps in the world that you run around in. I don't think that. I think that has a fine limit to how interesting or wow that we have a wow factor for that.
Yeah.
I think that the next step for games is, as it's always been, is the uniqueness. Like you use the hardware limitations to create unique situations and unique, your constraints essentially dictate what creative ways you circumnavigate those hardware limitations by. And I think the Switch, in contrast to just like PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, I don't have a PS5 yet, but from what I've seen on the PS5 and how I line up all the PS2, PS3, a lot of it is just graphical updates. A lot of it, I know it's more than that, it's more stuff, more sophisticated AI, more disk space, more whatever, but a lot of it is just kind of a graphic update.
Yeah. And
I don't think that's enough for gaming. I think gaming is one of the mediums that is made interesting because it doesn't rely on you having to have photorealistic graphics to enjoy it. I think the gameplay outweighs any graphical fidelity you can put into it.
Sure.
And the Switch almost thrives on that because Nintendo knows how to polish their gameplay really well. And so instead of them going after amazing graphics, they went after this hybrid system of being able to play the same game on the toilet that you play on your big 4K television.
Yeah.
I think that, in contrast to the other ones, is significantly more appealing.
Yeah. And I mean, clearly the sales numbers reflect that, right? Yeah. So I totally understand I'm in the minority on this, but even Sony, as much as we're talking about like every number system is just like, at heart, just a graphical upgrade of some sort, but
which isn't bad,
but they also
that's
had
all it is.
Yeah, right. But they still had 2 attempts at handheld systems with the PSP and PS Vita. PSP was outrageously popular, but then people started pirating it and jailbroke it, and then that was the end of that system. Vita, they didn't allow to jailbreak, and it took a long time for it to get jailbroken, but they didn't support it very well. And
you had $100 memory card or some shit.
Yeah, and they made like proprietary stuff that was super expensive, like Nintendo does now. So I guess that's just a Japanese video game company thing. But they have the PSVR, the original, and now they have PSVR 2 coming out very soon, if it's not out already. I think it's at the end of this month.
Virtual reality that's actually affordable, I would say.
It's one of the few that's affordable, right? There's basically the original Quest. The Meta Quest, and then
the Facebook one. Or is that the Quest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Quest 2 is out now. We're gonna talk more about Quest later in the news, but I give Sony a lot of credit for trying things. I think sometimes they get caught like trying to copy Nintendo in particular, where they like, and Microsoft too to a lesser extent, because like Microsoft came out with the camera on Xbox One, right? Is that the one?
Oh yeah,
with the camera
where they wanted to make it
where
required.
you had to buy it with
and
the camera.
And then they were like, never mind,
like,
you guys think it's cool.
Yeah, nobody wanted it. It was gimmicky. It was dumb. It wasn't supported very well. It didn't work very well. It spied on you, which was even worse.
The 360 had the fucking Kinect, which was god awful. And then
PlayStation tried to copy them with their PlayStation Eye. And then their PlayStation, they called it PlayStation Camera, which was just dumb. Where they were trying to copy that, and then they chased Nintendo with the Move controllers. You remember the lollipop commercial?
The ones that look like they belong in adult film industry.
Yeah, they look exactly. They were like a joke. But they were like slightly better Wii controllers that they made by copying Wii controllers.
Well, then Wii came out with Motion Plus.
But then they adapted it to their VR technology, which was somewhat unique. There really wasn't much, and the way they did it was so proprietary that now for the PSVR 2, there's no back compatibility because the games were built for their specific system that had the light bar and the light bar tracking with a PS camera, because they were basically just taking a bunch of old technologies that people probably already had laying around the house and adapting it to their VR system to make it more approachable and more affordable. And because of that, I think the quality suffered a little bit. But PSVR 2 looks a lot better, but the price is rough. That's it's like $600 or $550, which is more than a PS5, right?
It's not worth,
and if it's not back compatible now, like you got to buy all the new games, right, to have anything.
It's
to play.
not worth for entry. It's not worth for very. It's not new. It's not worth it for the technology that is essentially in its like borderline infancy.
Yeah,
that's kind of a gimmick. That kind of would be cool because I don't think anybody truly like you can sit on the couch and play 9 hours of a game.
Yeah,
I don't think you're in VR for more than 30 minutes to an hour, even with like Resident Evil 7.
You're gonna have eye strain. You're gonna have the weight just weighing down on you,
and you're standing up, moving, doing shit.
You're probably tripping over a cable somewhere, right? And it's tedious to set up and hook up, which I think is the biggest prohibitive thing of VR. And you're setting it up,
and you're paying hundreds of dollars for that.
On top of a $500 PlayStation 5.
This is a periphery. This isn't in its own.
So there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of change that probably needs to happen with all of these companies, but there's pros and cons to all of it. It's hard to really fault anybody for trying to innovate, but yeah, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. Next up on the news, the much anticipated game Forspoken from Square Enix has come out, but unfortunately had middling reviews and a lot of technical problems, with developers promising patches and performance improvements soon to come. This is a game that got delayed several times. We've talked about it on the show several times. It was something I thought I was kind of anticipating being kind of a fun, Devil May Cry with witches type of thing. Almost like Bayonetta, I guess, but without the guns.
Is it a Platinum Games game?
No, Square Enix.
Okay. I haven't heard much about this.
Yeah, it got a lot of promotion kind of late in the fall, and then it kind of dropped off the planet and got delayed, and I think it's because they knew it was a little mediocre, which, here on Hit the Books podcast, we're all about mediocre. But it doesn't sound like people are really enjoying this game. A game that people are enjoying, however, is the latest Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy. It's gotten a lot of rave reviews. It seems to be hitting a lot of great sales benchmarks. I was super excited for this game. I'm glad that people are enjoying it. So obviously there's a lot of people wondering, how it would perform because of the controversy with J.K. Rowling and her trans comments, on how you interpret what is a woman and what is a trans woman and that sort of thing. And that blew up into a whole thing. And I think the reason it caused so much controversy is because she was up to that point kind of a leader and kind of promoting like LGBT stuff. Like she kind of retconned a lot of characters to being gay and lesbian and stuff like that.
I think the problem with that whole thing is like a lot of, I think, the more liberal stuff happens from people who tend to like, I guess like Harry Potter was a very against like the norms, kind of like, oh, it's magic and shit, and it's like you got nerds, you got people who have their religious Christian parents who don't like it because it's magic and it's bad. And
to your point, my grandma wouldn't let us read. So
you have like
this
counter-conservative culture phenomenon almost, and now you find out that she has opinions that don't align with a lot of that, and I think that for a lot of people is a letdown because they like, hey, I thought you were on our side, kind of deal. Yeah, I think that this is like any art, right? You kind of have to. I mean, it's hard, right? Sometimes because some people say shit, and you're like, you can't watch the same movies.
I watch wrestling. I guarantee you, I don't agree with 90% of wrestlers' opinions. I watch football. I don't agree with 90% of probably. I'm just guessing. Football coaches and football players' opinions. Like, I know it's like you said, it's difficult to separate the art from the creator, and if you're really against something. And I don't personally. I think what she said was really mild. I don't think it was worth as much consternation as it created. But I think, especially in this case where like all she's doing is owning the rights. She's not building this video game. She's not writing the video game. This is a prequel. I don't know if you know the concept behind it.
Yeah, it's the 1800s.
Yeah, late 1800s.
It's single player.
Yeah,
which I have something to say, but
it's entirely like a fantasy role play game in the Harry Potter universe. that's created by people that have no association with J.K. Rowling. She just happens to be the creator of the universe in general and probably collecting some kind of royalty on it, right? Or is at least being paid for the rights to be used to create the video game. So I'm glad it's doing well. I was afraid that it was going to get kind of review bombed by protesters who were angry at J.K. Rowling, and I'm glad for both the series, because I enjoy the series, and for the creators of the video game that worked so hard on this. You know, this is their art. This is, I'm sure there's probably trans people that worked on this video game that really love what they've done and are proud of what they've done.
And for them to be punished by proxy of what
exactly and
creator of the idea.
Yeah, these games are huge too, so they take years and years to create and develop from start to finish. So like, I'm sure these comments probably came out in the middle of production, you know, and then they had to decide like, oh crap, do we just like eat the loss and like throw away all this work we've done, or do we just like roll along and hope for the best, you know, and just like express our vision to the world and hope that people don't, you know, kind of shoo it away or, you know, review bomb it or whatever else.
I think one sentiment,
this is encouraging for me.
One sentiment I want to leave, if anyone is on the fence in terms of like, I don't know how I feel about playing a game with someone who holds opinions I find morally abhorrent or apprehensive about. Mm-hmm. I want to say, did you fall in love with Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling's an awesome human being, or because the story is really cool that she happened to write regardless of what like caused it? Because like you hear about how she wrote it, she locked herself in her room, she did some crazy shit doing it, like whatever the hell. It's like, you liked Harry Potter because the books resonated with you, the stories resonated. I know some people are like, well, now it's like, oh, well, now that everyone doesn't like her, the
revisionist history.
It's like, it wasn't written that well, and the stories are kind of stupid.
Yeah. There's always that.
You as a kid wanted to cosplay as Hermione. If you were a girl, you wanted a wand. You wanted the fucking all four houses with the little patches. If you are a fan of something, you have to ask yourself, what's more important to you? The spirit of the art, or does the artist really that evil of a person to you that you can't enjoy it? Because if you can't enjoy it, you should just walk away, right? Like Woody Allen, for example.
Yeah.
Is a great example
there's a lot there.
There's a lot of people who love his movies, and then the stuff come out about some pretty like you can't dismiss.
Well, think about how many movies that were produced by Jeffrey Epstein.
There you go.
I mean,
right? Like
half of the classics you probably love were produced or in some way influenced by Jeffrey Epstein, who is, by all accounts, complete piece of shit and ruined a lot of lives. Probably
you have to ask yourself: Are you going to because if it does taint it for you, you should walk away. Definitely. If it's give yourself like that's a judgment you have to make for yourself. If you can't handle watching a movie because all you can think about is, man, the person who produced or made this was this person, walk away from it, leave it alone. It was ruined for you, and that happens. It's unfortunate, but it happens. But if you're one of those people where I think the biggest aspect of you should not feel guilty for liking a song or a movie or a game or whatever, because the people who made it or contributed to its creation are not necessarily good people, because you're not agreeing with their politics or viewpoints or lifestyles. You appreciate something that happened as a result of you don't even know the level of involvement, honestly, half the fucking time, whether it was a producer who affected it or a writer.
In this case, they made it very clear that she wasn't involved at all.
This is like,
she just owns the rights.
12 years after the last movie.
Yeah.
15 years after the last fucking
not counting
book.
The prequel movies.
Yeah, or I think those are just but like,
we don't need another rant.
I want to say one thing about the Harry Potter game, and this is where I've been trying to say this for years, and I think a lot of people are starting to see that maybe this would be a good idea. I'm not the first one obviously to come up with this. We need a Harry Potter MMO.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with Emery about this on the show several times.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right,
I promoted this a lot. This is close. This is pretty close to what I had in mind.
But it's single player, and that's like, okay, I thought this was gonna be an MMO, and that's why, like, when I saw the single player, I was like, okay, listen, you want to make single player RPG? That's great. Think about how awesome, especially now, where everybody who grew up on Harry Potter is like our age, like late 20s, early 30s. We got money. We got maybe not time. Everyone's like busy having kids, doing cool shit, important shit, stock market life.
And quite frankly, there's just too much nerd content to consume.
There's so much.
Movies, video games,
you just heard
TV shows, holy shit, comics.
But think about the potential for a video game that's a Harry Potter game where you and your friends can all be students at Hogwarts in a class that you choose, but either based on some matching system or you just choose it because you're like, fuck it, I want to be with my 3 friends who are all Gryffindors. Or maybe you're all different classes and you guys get to interact and go on quests together. And every year is a season, and every year you get to like promote yourself to a next year student. And people who jump on are like younger people, and they can be like, you know, people you interact with. I think it would be cool. The potential for an MMO in the Harry Potter universe is such a great fucking idea that I've had, like, I've always thought that since I was like a fucking little, I was a little kid playing like Harry Potter 2 and 3 on the computer, you know, those movie license games. I think the idea is there. And if this is successful, maybe they'll do something with that. But I very much think that there is a great opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just messaging Emery there.
Emery's here in spirit.
Yeah, he's here. He's in the air.
He's always.
We can feel him around us, inside of us.
He's at Hogwarts right now.
Yeah.
Transfigurating into a
that's where he is.
Mushroom cloud.
Yeah. So what house are you?
I'm one of the weird ones that's in all 4, whatever the hell that term is. I get a different answer every time I take it. It's kind of weird.
All right. So if you had to decide yourself, what would you be?
I don't know. I want to say Gryffindor because like I like to think of myself as like, oh, I want to do the honorable good thing, but like they all kind of make sense. I don't know. That's a tough one because I've gotten literally all 4 of them every time I take it, and it's
I've only done the test once, and I don't even remember what the results were on that when the Pottermore website first came out.
The what would you look at first? What clue would you?
Yeah. It was like, would you go into the woods or would you run back to the castle?
What's the best item you could get? The immortality, the power. Then you're like, Well, what about you? What do you?
I usually consider myself a Ravenclaw. Anytime I play a Harry Potter game, I choose Ravenclaw.
Okay.
I like their house. I like the kind of I mean, I was pretty much a bookworm, more or less. I was a big nerd, and I did a lot of crazy stuff when I was in high school. But like, I worked really hard. I had straight A's. Graduated a year early with presidential honors and stuff. Went to college a year early, and I always considered myself a Ravenclaw. So I never really gravitated towards the other houses. I always thought like, Hufflepuff's like for pussies. Like,
isn't Cedric Diggory Hufflepuff?
I don't know. I think you're right. Which makes sense because Robert Pattinson ruins another role.
No, but okay, listen. I love the 4th Harry Potter movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I know people hate it because it's like not close to the books, but no, Cedric Diggory's death was as a kid, that hit hard. That was like, in Game of Thrones when shit happens and people get fucking sad. That was that for in 2005.
That was great in the book. I loved it in the book. I hate the movies after number 2.
You didn't like 3 and 4?
No, because they changed directors.
Well, yeah.
And then Chris Columbus stopped like after the 4th movie, I think.
Yeah.
And they changed the actor for Dumbledore. And the guy they replaced him with, I don't like his interpretation of Dumbledore at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't stand the movies after the first 2. I think the first 2 captured the books really well and like the spirit of the books. And I think the 3rd one is where they went off the rails a little bit. And then the 4th one, they went really far off the rails.
I will offer you a perspective. I think that the first 2 movies have a very intentional fantasy charm. Like there's like... They're very, like, uplifting fantasy. They're very, like, feel good. Even with the second one where you get to see Tom Riddle as a kid, which is one of the coolest fucking things in my mind ever. I love shit like that.
I also... I hate how they rendered Voldemort in the later movies.
It's the guy from Red Dragon.
I hate it. I hate it. He looks so stupid. I can't stand him. Yeah.
I like 3 and 4 because I think 1 and 2 show the childhood innocence. This is completely headcanon. I know that this is just me justifying how I felt.
Yeah.
But 1 and 2 feel like childhood, like they're still kids. 3 feels like shit's getting real. 4 is fuck you, shit's real. People are dying. Nobody who you thought was good is good anymore. Everyone has ulterior motives. Everything is like gray. Yeah. And I think that the change in direction, almost like maybe like meta, what do you call it? outside of the intended effect reflects that almost like unintentionally because of how they change directors and actors and style. But anyway, Harry Potter is a beast of its own, of a fantasy story, and now we get a new game for it. So
yeah, I am 100% looking forward to it. Time is going to dictate whether I buy it brand new or not. But I would, if I had the time, I would 100% buy that game right now, brand new, and play it. If I knew for sure I was going to be able to sit down and really flesh it out and enjoy it. Really looking forward to it. It's been a long time since I've done anything in the Harry Potter world, other than like an occasional mobile game or something. But like, I love the PlayStation 2 games. The Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and dude, I love those games.
They're kind of bad but kind of good.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like...
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you ever play the Quidditch game?
I wanted to. I never got around to it.
I
want a modern Quidditch multiplayer
like
game.
FIFA.
Yeah.
What with graphics? I would
so
pay
bad.
money for that.
I want it so bad. And again, I recognize that Harry Potter is kind of goofy in the idea that like the center of all wizarding politics and crises and wars are high school. Essentially, like they put so much importance in this school over anything else. Like
a little bit.
I find that kind of goofy. I mean, there's the Ministry of Magic, but nothing happens there. Like,
well, I mean, I think the whole point is to demonstrate. It's kind of like with Anakin from Star Wars, right? It's this level of like, oh, it's just some fuck from Tatooine. Like, no. And then that's why midichlorians piss a lot of people off. It's like, instead of it being someone who has high force potential, they try to quantify it in some sciencey, abstract bullshit kind of way.
Yeah.
But it's a fun story. It's an interesting story that touched a lot of people.
The books are still great. And I don't care how much revisionist history there is. The books are still great. I have problems with the movies after the first two. But again, like Dumbledore, the actor that played the original Dumbledore literally died. So there's not much you can do about that. I don't like the interpretation of the second actor that played him. And Dumbledore is such a core character that like it really sours the experience. And then like I didn't like the interpretation of Voldemort at all. I think they took the book too literally. Like again, in my mind space, in my mind fiction, like the way I read the book, he had subtle features that were snake-like, not literally a snake, bald snake with like snake nose and snake eyes.
Is it like a little bit like Mouth of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, where it's like a literal or like the Nazgul, where it's like an empty head with a crown? Like they tried to do that in the cartoon, it kind of didn't work really well. But then the movie, it's a hooded like thing, and it's like, oh, that makes more sense, right? But
and I mean, I take Lord of the Rings a little less seriously in terms of like how I interpreted how literal things were, because it's literally a fantasy world where like nothing is connected to Earth. It's just it's a fantasy of fantasy. It is the quintessential fantasy.
It still has to have a physical representation that we can relate to, but a lot of it is like more than just what you see. It's a metaphor. It's an image.
Whereas Harry Potter is grounded in our world. It's literally in our world, just in an aspect in a way we don't see because we're muggles.
The midnight hour of the muggle world.
Right. So that's where I have a lot of problems with those movies. I appreciate that they're made. Again, why did they need to split the last one into two parts? Like that started a whole new trend that I hate, where they keep splitting things into parts. Like,
Chapter 1. Yeah,
let's make The Hobbit, which is this tiny little book, into 3 movies. And put a bunch of shit that wasn't in The Hobbit at all.
The 78 cartoon of The Hobbit with the guy with the greatest.
Yeah.
That was so much better than those 3 movies, to the point where it's embarrassing how a 70-minute cartoon is better than a Peter Jackson
it was clearly, I think this is again Warner Brothers, just the cash grab, just people sticking their nose where they shouldn't be. Oh, well, moving on. We've ranted enough. Go play Hogwarts Legacy if you wish to. Another bit of news. The Discord chat is now officially available in the beta phase for PlayStation 5 users. So this is something Xbox users and PC users have had and enjoyed for a while now. But now PlayStation 5 can now join in the fun if they want to use the Discord chat as an alternative for their game sessions with their friends.
That's good integration.
Yeah, yeah. So they're improving. I feel like Sony always does this, where they start off with a few quirky things that, like, why did you do that? Why did you make that decision? Why are you closing this ecosystem off when everybody else is opening it? But they eventually learn their lesson and adapt.
The Japanese development, their model is so outdated according to everybody.
Yeah, there's a whole different philosophy in Japan, I think. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is the sequel to was it Fallen
Order?
Fallen Order, yeah.
Was it?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, yep. It has been delayed to April 28th, so I think that's a delay of 6 weeks total. So if you were looking forward to getting that game in March, unfortunately you'll have to wait till April, late April at that. So, and then last bit of news in the video game news portion, Annie Wershing, who played Tess in the Last of Us video game, has passed away. She's also done several TV and movie roles, but that's the thing we want to really touch on is her great performance in The Last of Us. She had an extended battle with cancer, and she was 45 years old. So best wishes go out to her friends, family, and loved ones. She will be missed, and she put on some great performances, particularly with video games in full mocap, which is not easy. Not a lot of stuff going on in comic books and manga at the moment, so we'll go ahead and skip that section, and we'll move on to the tech portion of the show. And as we alluded, the MetaQuest Pro is dropping in price from $1,499, and yes, I mean $1,499. To
it's a down payment on a car.
Yeah, to $1,099. So big $400 discount, but unfortunately still over $1,000. For reference, the MetaQuest 2, which is also available, is $399. And then, as we alluded to, the competitor we're having a disaster here, making a mess everywhere. And then the competitor PSVR 2, which is coming out very soon, is $550. Which obviously requires a PS5. MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest Pro both require a significantly powerful PC tower.
Oh yeah, it's 4K because it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we went over the specs that they talked about probably a couple months ago on the show. The MetaQuest Pro has some really cool, exciting technology. The problem is the price is just so unreasonable. I mean, unless you are, again, privately wealthy, or if VR gaming is just like your only joy in life, I don't see anybody dropping a lot of money on this thing.
That's what I was gonna ask. Are there any actual long, like, I know there's that Rick and Morty game, but that's like 2 hours long, right? Not even, maybe. Like, the games are not like.
No, that's a different game. Sorry.
My question would be, like, you're buying this hardware, right? The same reason, why do you buy a PS5 games? Why do I buy a Switch games? You want something that you can play on it.
Yep.
Are there any VR games that are worth spending a fucking $1,000? I don't care how good they look. I don't care. I'm just saying, would you play enough of that game to justify $1,000 of entry level? Because you're buying the game too. That's $60-$70 now, right? We talked about it.
Right.
What are you paying for?
Yeah,
to play, because I'll tell you this, we bought that fucking PS camera for the PS4 like a year ago because I'm late on everything.
Yeah,
it's not worth the little fucking figures jumping and the rubber duck that comes out. It's not. No. So what the fuck did I pay for? And then it's like, oh well, you can do VR with it. Okay, you can play Fruit Ninja in VR. I can play Resident Evil 7 in VR. Is that it? Oh, there's that Until Dawn spinoff with the clowns or whatever,
with the rail shooter.
Yeah, like. Or there's that Half-Life
Walking Dead.
Yeah, the Walking Dead game, the Half-Life Alyx. Like, okay, Half-Life Alyx is a real game.
Rigs. You can play rigs with the nobody on that multiplayer.
Like, my question is, where are the games? Everyone asks this when a fucking console comes out. Where are the games? What am I playing? Should I be excited? No. Why should I be excited about spending $1,000? That's 3 months. How many months of that is minimum wage? A month?
I don't
2 months.
I don't even know what minimum wage is right now.
How do you want to, like, put it in perspective? How much of your disposable income do you spend on something that doesn't have a tangible, fun thing you can look forward to doing on it?
Yeah.
That should be your question.
Yeah, and at least with, like, PSVR 2, at least you know that they're going to support it with, like, high-end exclusives. So
they have to. Otherwise, what the fuck's the point,
exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly, right?
It's Sony.
I personally think that, like, instead of making every game, like, these developers are so obsessed with making everything online all the time so they can track all your stats and whatever, and making every single game a multiplayer game.
And when they kill it, it's dead forever, not 30 years from now. You kids won't play it.
Exactly. I would rather they put that effort, especially for any first-person shooter games or first-person action games or first-person adventure games, that they make every first-person game have a VR aspect to it where you can just take control in VR, and really all it is button mapping. It doesn't have to be one for one with the controls. Like, just make it a button map thing where you button map to the virtual reality controllers and go around and shoot with the helmet on, because that would be way more fun and intimate than sitting 10 feet away from your television.
Yeah, with a controller with two dimensions.
And you got headphones, like the 3D audio that PS5 has now is outstanding. I got a 3D headset, which is great. Like, it's a difference maker. Like,
put it all together.
And then you have the haptics. You have the haptics in the helmet and in the controllers. Like, and again, I don't know if you played a PS5 yet.
No,
but the new haptics they're kind of a game changer. Like,
they react to like the pressure of how much it takes to push something changes based on the game's programming.
But it's even more than that. Like, I was legitimately surprised how much it made a difference. And now, like, if I play something without those like high-end haptics, I'm put off by it. Like, I'm like, oh, something's wrong here. Something's not right. Like, I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a PS4. It's an old PS4 game. It doesn't have like all the high-end haptics and stuff for that the PS5 controller is built for. And like, every time I do something, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had my haptics here. I kind of wish this did what. But if you play like a modern game that's built with those haptics in mind, like, it's outstanding. It really, like, the demo game does it really well, because it's like trying to show off everything you can do with the haptics and the like pressure sensitive controls, the triggers and everything, and you can turn them all off anytime you want to. So like competitive shooters, you want to turn them off a lot of times, because then it slows down your reaction time and your trigger time.
The pressure sensitive stuff, I remember on the PlayStation 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, I think, had that where like, if you were holding somebody up, you could like aim a gun at them.
Yeah.
And if you didn't push all the way down, you wouldn't shoot. If you push all the way down, you shot, they killed. But if you hold them,
it's more than that. Well, like, it literally locks, so like you can't go all the way.
Okay. Because that kind of playing with like small little edits that really enhance the immersion. Mm-hmm. That stuff, again, from what you're describing, that sounds like, again, great innovative aspects that enhance your immersion in a game.
Yeah.
They provide something new and interesting. And the biggest aspect is you start missing them when they're not there. You start playing an older game, you're like, man, exactly. I wish I could do that shit.
It is 100% something I didn't think I wanted that I totally can't live without now.
That's the best kind of innovation, right?
So I'll let you play around with it next time you come over.
Okay.
But it really does make a big difference, especially when you start playing like long RPGs with it or something, and you just get so used to having it, and then you try to play something old, or you try to play something without the support for it, like some third party that like just barely supported it. Then you're like, oh fuck, this sucks. I want my haptics back.
It's progress, right? It's technological progress.
They also put a much better speaker in the controller. Like, before on the PS4, they have this kind of tinny, shitty speaker.
It's like the Wiimote speaker.
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah, exactly, and it's way more annoying than it is like immersive. The new one is legit. Like, it's functional, and it actually adds some immersion. Like, when you pull back a bow, it makes that strained bow sound, and you're feeling like it doesn't shake the whole controller like the old Rumble did. It literally like positionally shakes in your hand on only the right side as you're pulling the trigger, and you can feel the resistance in the trigger, and the resistance increases the further your bow draw goes.
That's what.
And does
Xbox do that?
They have some aspects in their current controllers. They do. I know they have some pressure sensitivity in the triggers, but it's not quite. It's nowhere near this extent.
Because I remember, just to like give perspective on what made me cool. Like, holy shit, this is a cool innovation for me. I was playing Resident Evil 2. So you know how Resident Evil, there's like fine, caution, danger when you're taking damage. So same thing in RE2 Remake. You have that, right? You got a green, yellow, red.
Yeah.
The controller color changes based on that.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
is cool. It's that one extra step, and then what you're describing is that one extra step, except like blows your mind because they actually like programmed it into your. You're being immersed. You're getting more feedback from what you're experiencing in real life, and that's.
I'm sounding like a huge fanboy, and I kind of am. But like legitimately, if you have not played a PS5 with like full first party support for this stuff, and if you pair it with like the 3D audio on top of that, like a headset that actually supports the actual 3D audio, and you adjust it to your ears, it's like this stuff's legitimately game changing. And apparently they have the same haptic technology in their headset that's coming out. So, I mean, if you imagine playing a boxing game and you have that level of sensitivity in the haptics in the helmet, and you get hit in the head and you feel like that, like, obviously doesn't hurt you, but you feel the haptics of that hit.
Feedback
and it's not
immersive.
Just a flash of light on the screen. Like, that's a game changer. Like,
PS5 Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
I'm calling it right now. Some people are going to get some PTSD from these haptics. I'm dead serious. I think people are going to be like, they're gonna feel like they actually got in a fight with somebody, and not obviously not hurt, but they're like gonna have that like emotional feeling of like, oh, I'm getting the shit beat out of me.
That's always like, you remember Tron?
Yeah,
like the whole feeling of like, oh, you're in it, but you're not. It's virtual, but it's like reflective. No, that's cool. Again, it boils down to the features should reflect, one, technological change and advancement, two, be worth the money that you're paying for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Back to the topic at hand, MetaQuest. You know, I really don't see a real audience for this Pro unless you're just really wealthy and you just want to be a baller with your VR gaming.
Which everyone's balling and risking money right now in 2023, right?
Right.
January, February.
Yeah, in the middle of a recession and everything, and multiple wars.
Give me all the VR.
Yeah.
Early adopters love this economy.
Yeah. I mean, we're at a point where I think VR is very viable now to the common user, but $1,400, $1,500 because it's $1,499 originally, and now it's like $1,100 for just the headset.
You could build a whole
that's outrageous
gaming PC that could run like high to epic settings.
Yeah.
Well, medium to high, like it's a good PC for $1,400, $1,100 too.
Yeah, you could buy 4 switches, for that price.
Play Dead by Daylight with your best friends all together.
Just use your hands. Yeah. So I just don't see an audience for it. But MetaQuest 2, I would recommend. PSVR 2 would definitely recommend if you can afford it. Granted, in both situations, there's a significant barrier to entry because not only do you got to buy the headset, you most likely got to buy the PS5 or the computer tower to run everything. So it's a challenge, but definitely I wouldn't recommend the Pro. That's just an outrageous price. All right, well, that's a great place to end the news. Of course, as always, we got to give out the prestigious, nay, life-changing award of Cover of the Week. This week, the comic cover of the week we found on, of course, freshcomics.us, which is a great resource to see what is coming to your local comic book shops every Wednesday. This award goes to Image Comics' The Last Barbarians, #1. This cover done by Brian Haberlin. This has a really cool kind of classic fantasy fiction art style, the type of stuff you'd see on like 80s.
It reminds me of Dragonlance a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. It's very much a Dragonlance type of artwork. It's a wonderfully detailed piece of artwork, a level of detail you usually don't get in comic book cover art. Usually it's a little more simpler and a little bit more playful with the colors and everything. This is, there's some color play, but it's really more about the level of detail and kind of the mystique of the character, the look in the character's eyes, the detail and kind of embellishments of the outfit, of the gear she's carrying. It's just intriguing, looks fun, looks interesting, very much in that Dragonlance, as you said, style of classic, 80s, 90s fantasy artwork. It looks awesome.
It makes you want to read it.
which is all a covered artist can do. If they can interest you and catch your eye at the local comic book shop and get you to grab it off the shelf, hey, they've done their job, and Brian Haberlin has certainly done his job. Of course, as always, we want to give you the synopsis of the comic to give you a chance to check out if the drapes, or I'm sorry, again, to check if the content matches the drapes. All right, so this is a series premiere. To be classless is a whole new low. You'd think in a fantastic world full of giants, magic, and flying fish, it would be a world of possibility, but
Flying
you'd
fish.
be dead wrong here. Sylve, I assume, is a jack of all trades. She can fight with the best of them, pick most pockets, and even cast a third-level spell or two. It's too bad for her that if you aren't a member of a guild, you are a person non grata, completely outcast from adventuring. That might be fine, except she has her disabled 7-foot-tall brother to take care of. If she can't find a job to support them both, they'll be dead in a ditch in a matter of weeks. So now her only hope is a quest from a sketchy cleric who promises only a true hero can save the day. Sylve has a lot of skills, and she'll need them all to survive this hero's journey. That was probably the longest comic book description we've ever read on the show. That's it also kind of sounds suspiciously like a Dungeons and Dragons story.
A little bit.
So
it sounds like a mix of Full Metal Alchemist
yeah,
and like Demon Slayer. I don't know, like the whole
maybe.
taking care of your...
Yeah, I can kind of see it. Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. It really sounds like a D&D campaign, though.
Yeah, when it said level 3,
they literally
like,
called it a third level spell. So
it sounds like Goblin Slayer.
Yeah,
where they're like, oh, are you a porcelain or a silver?
Well,
rank?
let's hope it doesn't start like Goblin Slayer. So, well, maybe we want that.
I just want to.
If you want to send Nick your Lewd Boy fantasy art, you can always email us at HitTheBooksVids@gmail.com.
I don't know about all that, but no. I showed Goblin Slayer to my girlfriend. I started off as, oh yeah, it's this like, it's kind of childish, like this like take on D&D. You know, it's like a feel good like fantasy stuff. It's nothing crazy. 10 minutes in, she's like, if you know what happens, you know what happens. But
yeah, if you know, then you know.
Goblin Slayer is not great for kids. Well, I guess depending on how traumatized your kids are. I don't know.
I mean, if you're a terrible parent, I suppose you'd let your
if
kids
you've
watch it. Yeah.
exposed your kids to some horrible shit, then
I mean,
I don't know.
I have a new son. He's a little over 4 months old. I have no idea how I'm going to prevent him from just being completely scarred by the internet as he's growing up. Because like when I was growing up, like I learned everything from friends at school. Now they don't even need that. Yeah, and like we had dial-up internet. Like we weren't if we wanted to look at boobies, we had to sit there and like hide the fact from our mom while the phone wasn't working. You literally could not make a phone call, and so if mom tried to make a phone call or dad tried to make a phone call, they'd catch you. They'd be like, "Oh, you're on the internet. What are you doing?" And then you have this like slowly line by line rendering of like a crude pixelated woman.
I mean, I will say,
and now like in a split second, you can go on social media and find porn. You can go on Twitter and find like the most graphic pornographic shit.
It's
like,
not very nurturing in terms of developing healthy young adults with perceptions of what relationships are.
I mean, I thanks to the internet, I saw a man get his head chopped off when I was like 12.
Me too.
Yeah, that's a pretty common experience in the internet age, and like I don't know how to stop that. Like as a parent, when he's like 4, 5, 6, and we give him a phone for emergency situations or something, and then
I will say this:
his buddy finds a way to jailbreak it or something.
You have so many kids. This is like gonna date myself, maybe you a little bit, because we're talking about this. I don't think you need a phone until you start like going to school. Like middle school is where it should start becoming a consideration.
I'd probably give my kid like a flip phone or something just for emergencies so they can call somebody. Yeah.
If it's like you want to be connected in case there's a lot of fucked up people out there, right? That take advantage.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, there's a level of responsibility. I think it's kind of like the argument. I remember we had this discussion where it's like you should gradually let people learn to handle more and more responsibility, because handing your 7-year-old a device that's connected to the internet is like, okay, I'm going to put parental controls on it. but then they're gonna either learn to circumnavigate it or not know what to do when they're not there. So you want to,
and then you just think about how many devices that you wouldn't think have connection to the internet but do. Smart fridges, your Tesla,
we saw
your video game consoles have web browsers.
We went to Home Depot and there's a fucking phone tablet screen on a fridge where you can Google stuff, and it's like,
I know. Like, it's
$3,000.
I just don't know how you can cover all your bases to prevent that, and then also the physical versions of these things, like printouts, nudie mags, whatever. We all had these kind of experiences growing up, but like, you had to really fucking work for it. Like, you had to really go out of your way to find this stuff and get this stuff.
Well, maybe that's why everyone's so like depressed nowadays. It's because
it's too easy.
It's too easy. Yeah, everyone's like got like
there are a lot of people that believe that
and issues where everyone's like doesn't know how to handle things that require a lot of focus and time. Everything is so easy to access. I think it is a blessing and a curse, because we have, if you want to get super deep with it, unlike Batman, you run into this issue where we live in
just throwing shade randomly.
Fuck you. We run into this issue where we as a I don't want to say generation, we as a people in the current day and age have more access to information than anyone ever has.
Yeah. It's not even close.
And it's like to a magnitude of like 3 digits crazy. It's no longer like a library, or it's like literally any second you can know anything you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Not to a deep extent, because that requires, again, this is where you get running the issue.
Yeah.
If
the difference between knowledge and understanding, right?
Yeah. Like, you can know a lot of random shit really quickly. Like, we can find this comic book, which looks awesome, but like, do we know what's it about? That takes time. What are the themes of it?
Can we
takes time.
physically draw it ourselves?
Yeah,
no,
or
that takes
what
time
went
to
into
learn.
it,
Exactly.
appreciating the finer points of it. All of that. That's why, like, in this, I was watching a video the other day about like how games from your childhood that you played like for 2 hours every day with your friends, for some reason they're like burned into your memory like a fucking like like a brand almost.
Yeah.
Yet you'll play through a game that's like 80 hours long, you'll breeze through that in a week, or go through a TV show.
Won't remember a single day.
Yeah, and you'll be like, what the fuck did I just watch or play? And that's because we as a species operate better when it's harder to do it, so we have more dedication, we have to think about it harder, and it leaves a higher imprint, it affects us more.
Yeah.
And long story short, don't give 7-year-olds TikTok.
Yeah.
Is the point I'm trying to make.
And I think that's a great note to end the show on. So
don't give 7-year-olds TikTok. Wait until they're 17.
So Nick, I really appreciate you coming over and joining the show. Sorry Emery couldn't join us, but hopefully he'll join us next time you're over. Really saved my butt, because I would have been recording this episode alone, and that nobody wants that. You already get too much of me as it is, right? So want to thank you for coming over. Hope you'll join us again soon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the audience. Hopefully my presence was not
dude, you were great.
Off-putting
No,
to
you were great.
the
I
episode.
think if there's any complaints, it's that you agree with me too much. We have too many similar opinions.
Like, hey,
and
am I
thoughts on
allowed to
things.
like Batman, or what do I say?
This episode was extra snarky and like like wanting to start a fight with a lot of these studios and stuff. But I really loved having you on. Love your perspective on things. You did disagree with me on the dislike of the Switch and Harry Potter movies, so there's something, audience.
The SmackDown fight is coming next episode. Who will win? Many will enter.
Yeah,
many will not win.
But had a lot of fun. Glad you came over. I hope you had fun.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for watching, and whenever you want me on, if you comment, if I don't know if you want more,
if you guys get some songs recorded or anything, we'll be sure to promote those, just like we promote Those Natural Ones on twitch.tv/Those Natural Ones and on YouTube. So go support Emery and Nick Marlatt on their weekly D&D stream. Of course, we got our own D&D game that we'll be playing on Monday, most likely, unless something crazy happens. So I'll see you on the stream. It's not a public stream, but on our Discord, I assume.
Pay-per-view.
On we're gatekeepers. $50. You know what? $14.99, but I'll give you a discount. $10.99 and you're in.
Wait, why does it keep going down? You have to split it a little.
Yeah. But of course, to you, our audience, really want to thank you for watching, listening, and supporting us. Of course, remember to give us a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel and give us good reviews elsewhere. It really helps us out, promotes the algorithm, and gets us one step closer to any kind of potential funding to improve the show, maybe hire an editor, all that good stuff. So really appreciate you. Of course, if you have any ideas or questions to submit to the show or Lewd Boy fan art, you can always reach out to us at HitTheBooksVids@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter at HTBVids, on Facebook at Facebook.com/HitTheBooks. Of course, we're going to join the other social medias eventually, but I'm busy. All right.
There's going to be no TikTok.
Well, Nick Marlat wants a TikTok real bad.
He can make it.
Yeah, he probably will, to his credit. And of course, be sure to check out those natural ones, as I said. Am I forgetting something? I'm probably forgetting something. See, Emery, this is why I need you here. Nick Marlat, that's why I need you here. I need you guys to beat me senseless and then take over the show and remind me all the things I need to promote. But of course, we're on YouTube, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, etc.
Tumblr.
Yes. If only they still had porn. Twitter's got porn, but Tumblr doesn't.
Is this like audio porn? 3 hours of abusive comic ball torture?
Yeah, give you some of that at the end of the show. All right, I've kept you here long enough. We love you. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Lewd Boy fan art? Yeah. Don't. Ooh, sorry.
See?
I'm the worst party foul already. Well, no.
You mentioned the worst Star Wars movie.
Oh, no. Ryan Johnson, I blame you. You spilled my beer, you son
in.
of a bitch. Yeah.